Chapter 304. She knew better than anyone what kind of person Mo Ting was. How can you not be angry? Why should I be angry? Tong Ning asked. In this industry, there are plenty of people that speak worse than you. Why should I care? In that case, what do you want from Mo Ting? Or perhaps, you have the self-awareness to know that you are just putting on an act, so you don't care? Words like this were extremely straightforward. Even Jiang Yin broke out in a cold sweat on Tong Ning's behalf. Although Mo Ting had revealed his relationship to Tong Ning, it was just as Qi Xinyan had said. In this industry, in the entertainment industry, simply revealing a relationship wouldn't bring Tong Ning much benefit. After all, there was always the possibility of a breakup. For the big boss of the entertainment industry, getting rid of a model was as easy as saying the word. It couldn't be any easier. To put it bluntly, in the eyes of the average person, actors were just entertainers. As for models, they weren't even worth mentioning. To put it bluntly, they were simply selling their bodies. Seeing Tong Ning did not respond, Qi Xinyan crossed her arms and said, Originally, I had something urgent to attend to that day. But it's already too late. There are plenty of people that are willing to marry me. But why is President Mo's taste like this? It makes me feel like I'm not even comparable to a prostitute. From beginning to end, Tong Ning maintained a smile on her face. She did not put Qi Xinyan in her eyes at all. Jiang Yin thought Tong Ning was speechless because of the insults. But looking at the expressions of the other artists at the table, Jiang Yin suddenly let out a gentle laugh. Qi Xinyan's words didn't just offend Tong Ning. Selling her body, the other female artists looked at Qi Xinyan like she was a joke. One of them even pretended to knock over the wine glass next to her, causing red wine to spill all over Qi Xinyan's body. Sorry, Miss Qi, I'll help you clean it up. No need, stay away from me. Qi Xinyan immediately stood up to avoid being touched and headed to the bathroom to clean up. Afterwards, a few female artists couldn't help but cross their arms and say, Every time I see someone that acts like this, I can't help but want to slap them across the face. Tong Ning, how do you hold it in? Tong Ning picked up her glass and toasted the group, completely revealing her black-bellied nature. No matter how annoying a person was, there would always be someone who would use their actions to tell her why she had to do this. Jiang Yin lowered her head and let out a gentle laugh. Needless to say, Tong Ning's way of dealing with the situation was very beneficial to her. I finally understand why out of so many women, you are the only one that can stand by Mo Ting's side. Tong Ning tilted her head and looked at Jiang Yin. She lowered her head and laughed. Don't judge Mo Ting and I in the way you think. Tong Ning, we are all in this industry. No one is clean. If you're talking about what I did to Qi Xinyan, I never said that I'm a good person. My principle has always been that if people don't offend me, I won't offend them. After speaking, Tong Ning no longer spoke to anyone at the table. She knew, people with different goals couldn't make plans together. Afterwards, Qi Xinyan did not return to her seat. Afterwards, Tong Ning discovered she had gone to sit in the VIP section. The event lasted for a few hours. It wasn't a long time, but it wasn't short either. Finally, it was almost 11 p.m. At this time, Tong Ning received a phone call from Mo Ting. I'm here. Tong Ning stood up and left the ballroom with everyone else. Meanwhile, Mo Ting's car was parked in front of the hotel, attracting a lot of attention and whistles. However, just as Tong Ning walked towards Mo Ting, Qi Xinyan also walked out the front door and approached Mo Ting. As Tong Ning boarded the car, she extended her hand towards Mo Ting. Hello, President Mo. Just as Mo Ting opened the car door for Tong Ning, he saw Qi Xinyan's hand extended towards him. He did not immediately shake it. Instead, he glanced at Tong Ning calmly. However, Tong Ning said, It's best if you don't shake it. After all, Miss Qi will eventually wash it off. Mo Ting immediately caught the main point in Tong Ning's words. However, he still extended his hand and shook Qi Xinyan's hand. However, he pulled out a pair of white gloves from his pocket and put them on. Qi Xinyan's expression was extremely ugly. Worst of all, after shaking her hand, Mo Ting directly threw the white gloves into the bin. Qi Xinyan held back her anger and once again provoked Tong Ning. Sorry, I was late for August 19th. I didn't do it on purpose. Aha, That's why I switched to someone else 10 minutes later. It turns out Miss Chi was actually there. In other words, Mo Ting didn't want Qi Xinyan to think too highly of herself. Plus, I'm sorry, I should have asked my assistant to apologize to you. Although I randomly picked you, I should have notified you beforehand, so you wouldn't have to wait. This time, Qi Xinyan's face was completely red. She was so tempted to find a hole and hide in it. Lastly, I hope Miss Qi can do things that are befitting of your identity next time. After all, this is the first time we've met. After speaking, Mo Ting gestured for Tang Ning to board the car and shut the door, leaving Qi Xinyan clenching her fists. She never imagined that her original plan to humiliate Tang Ning would end up being humiliated by Mo Ting. Of course, this also allowed the onlookers to witness Mo Ting's ability to pamper his wife. This Qi Xinyan is so annoying. Can you guys guess what she's referring to as an artist? It's a prostitute. What can we do? She was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Prostitutes like us can't compare. Seeing her being abused by President Mo just now, I was so happy. It was so cool. She even threw away her gloves. Stop looking. No matter how handsome she is, she will never be yours. Mo Ting ignored the looks of the onlookers as he led Tang Ning out of the hotel. However, halfway through the car, Mo Ting stopped the car and said, "Come sit in front." Tang Ning turned her head and ignored him. "Are you jealous?" At that time, grandfather was rushing me to get married. To stop him from worrying, I randomly picked someone from his list of socialites. It's that simple, Mo Ting explained. After all, before I met you, I didn't think it would make a difference who I spent the rest of my life with. Tang Ning turned her gaze back to Mo Ting. A moment ago, Qi Xinyan said that with your family background, you would never marry me. Next time, bring your marriage certificate with you. If you come across a situation like this again, throw it at her face, Mo Ting said dotingly. She also said that I know very well how dirty a model can be. Mrs. Mo, I'm sure you're telling on me. Mo Ting stretched out his hand and held on to Tang Ning. Only then did Tang Ning compromise and move from the back seat to the front passenger seat. I've already helped you get revenge. Can we move on from this matter? I've offended another rich heiress. What should I do if she comes looking for trouble from now on? Chapter 305. Since she's causing trouble for you, I'm causing trouble for her. Can we move on now, Mrs. Mo? Mo Ting cleared his throat. In reality, this was the most ridiculous thing he had done in his 32 years. Luckily, Tang Ning had appeared at the time. Otherwise, if he had married Qi Xinyan, he would have been a divorcee by now. Actually, Tang Ning wasn't really angry. After all, there was nothing between her and Mo Ting. There was no need for a stranger to ruin their relationship. But Mo Ting let out a sudden laugh as he drove. Tang Ning furrowed her brows and looked at him confusedly. What are you laughing at? I suddenly feel like you are very noble. You've saved my life. Mo Ting praised Tang Ning in seriousness. After hearing this, Tang Ning stretched out her hand and clasped onto Mo Ting's hand as she replied gently, You've saved me even more. In reality, they were simply trying to redeem each other. At a red light, Mo Ting stopped the car and looked down at Tang Ning. Looking at her head resting on his shoulder, he only had one thought in his heart. You have no idea how precious you are to me. Qi Xinyan suffered a lot at the Chanel perfume gala. As soon as she returned home, she went straight to Father Qi's study room. Father. Xiaoyan, what's wrong? Why is your face so pale? Father Qi put down the documents in his hands and waved at his daughter. Qi Xinyan held back her grievances and explained everything that happened at the Chanel perfume gala. After hearing everything, Father Qi almost smashed the table in front of him. How dare the Mo family treat my daughter like this? How could they allow a model to bully you? Father, I can't take this lying down. Because every time Qi Xinyan thought about what Mo Ting had done to her, her eyes would turn red from embarrassment. But, did you just say the model's surname is Tang? Father Qi thought for a moment before saying to Qi Xinyan, This Tang Ning seems to be the Tang family's granddaughter. I'll give them a phone call in a moment. If it turns out to be true, I will make sure Tang Ning gives us an explanation. Father, Are you saying that Tongning is the heiress of a perfume family? That's right. When you were young, you even visited the Tang family. Don't you remember? At that time you even stole Tongning's sister's toys. After hearing her father's words, Qi Xingyan felt even more uncomfortable. Originally, she thought she was a cut above everyone else and could step all over Tongning at any time. After all, Tongning was just a model that sold her body. But now that she found out Tongning was also a rich heiress, the feeling of being dragged down by Tongning was not a good one. Then why isn't she with the Tang family? I heard that he was kicked out of the Tang family. I'm not too sure about this. If you want to know, you should pay a visit to the Tang family. Kicked out? In other words, Tongning was merely a poor heiress. Qi Xingyan's heart finally calmed down. Then please help me send a visiting card to the Tang family. Of course, outsiders had no idea why a rich heiress like Tongning insisted on becoming a model. However, the Tang family were well aware. If Qi Xingyan were to ask, would she be able to find out the real reason why Tongning left the Tang family? The child of a mistress took over. It should be very sensational, right? The cold wind howled as passers-by hurried around in their winter coats. Long Jie gazed at the night view of Beijing. However, as soon as she opened the window, Lu Che immediately shut it. Do you want to catch a cold? Long Jie turned around and saw Lu Che kneeling on the ground feeding his dog. The tall and sturdy man was squatting in front of the golden retriever. This scene was enough to melt a person's heart. Let's go back to the room. Lu Che stood up and waved at Long Jie. Long Jie couldn't help but laugh. Tonight was their wedding night. They did not tell anyone, only they knew. They simply took some time out for lunch and went to the civil affairs office to get their marriage certificate. Although it seemed a little rushed, Long Jie felt this man was someone worth entrusting the rest of her life to. If she didn't hurry up and grab hold of him, she may end up regretting even more. The bedroom wasn't big, but it was decorated with the word happiness, and the bedding had been changed to red. It seemed it symbolized the couple's future. Long Jie suddenly felt a strong sense of belonging. She was no longer on her own. She belonged to someone. You got married just for the sake of sex. You're too much. Although I won't deny that it was part of the reason, but I truly want to marry you. I've wanted to do it since the first day I got together with you. Lu Che hugged Long Jie and kissed her passionately. He then used his hands to untie her robe. Don't be nervous. I'm not nervous at all, Long Jie explained. Do you think I'm convincing? After hearing her stuttering explanation, Lu Che placed her on the bed. His tall and sturdy body leaned over her, and he quickly removed the restraints on his body. Long Jie blushed as she covered her eyes and said in embarrassment, "Don't look at my carrot body." In reality, she simply had a bigger frame than the average girl. She couldn't really be considered fat. Plus, Lu Che liked her delicate and lively appearance. If Long Jie really slimmed down and ended up like the girls on the outside, he would feel it would be a waste. She was unique. There was no need for her to change. So the more she resisted, the more Lu Che loved her. Long man, look at me. I don't want to. Lu Che did not look in front of her. He simply leaned over and kissed Long Jie on the lips. His kiss was gentle and lingering. This time, Long Jie quickly surrendered as she hooked her arms around Lu Che's neck. After the new year, we will go see your only relative. I know he has a misunderstanding towards me, but trust me, I will definitely change his opinion of me. I trust you. Long Jie nodded her head in seriousness. This time, Lu Che no longer held back as he rained kisses down on every part of Long Jie's body. Long Jie had no way to defend against his unbridled actions. Even so, Long Jie still felt like it wasn't enough. Since she was going to love him fiercely and with all her might. In the past, Long Jie was afraid of the cold and hated the deep winter. But now that she had a heater by her side, she actually hoped that from now on, it would always be winter. That way, people in love could hug each other tighter and give each other the warmth they wanted. After the intense session, Long Jie fell asleep. Lu Che looked at the woman in his arms and subconsciously smiled, because he had officially reared a little sow in a pen. Chapter 306. After the Chanel perfume banquet, the media released photos of all the celebrities that attended. Of course, both male and female celebrities couldn't help but compete with each other and show off their abilities. As a model, when it came to fashion sense, she was definitely more eye-catching than actors and singers. However, the reporters did not forget that she had already announced her relationship with Mo Ting. Nor did they forget that Mo Ting was not only her boyfriend, he was also her personal manager. So at the end of Tang Ning's photo, the media used a photo of Mo Ting and Tang Ning in the same frame. Of course, apart from the fact that Tang Ning was already eye-catching, Mo Ting's appearance made her stand out more than any other celebrity. However, there was also a small incident at the banquet, the handshake incident. After shaking hands with Tang Ning, a certain socialite actually complained that Tang Ning was dirty, so she went to the bathroom to wash her hands. In response, Mo Ting put on a pair of white gloves and threw them away after shaking hands with the socialite. Although the incident of Tang Ning being humiliated was only a rumor, and had no way to verify it, the incident of Mo Ting throwing away his gloves was witnessed by countless celebrities and media. So, this indirectly proved the truth of the incident. After all, Mo Ting was never a senseless person. He definitely wouldn't lower himself to the same level as a woman over a small matter. Unless she was the one that was cheap enough to provoke Tang Ning. President Mo's boyfriend power is at the max. As a single person, I have received a huge blow. I'm done for. I just want to hear news about Tang Ning and Mo Ting every day. When I don't hear any news, I feel sad. But as soon as I hear news, I smile like a fool. I beg the Mo couple to give us more candy. Is no one paying attention to the socialite that caused Tang Ning trouble? How noble does she think she is? President Mo did a great job. Please keep giving out candy at this rate. In reality, after Chanel's banquet ended, the media had no intention of letting Tang Ning go. But Tang Ning slipped away too quickly, and there were too many big celebrities around. So even though the media felt it was a pity, they did not chase after Tang Ning. Over the past 2 days, the acquisition of Star King had finally come to an end. Meanwhile, in France, Tang Ning was notified to prepare for filming as soon as possible. Tang Ning watched as Mo Ting busied himself with work, but she did not ask him what he planned to do next. Until one night, Mo Ting handed Tang Ning a list of actresses. I've already put stupid on the agenda. The actresses are all here. We will hold a press conference next month. Tang Ning received the documents and flipped through a few pages. She realized the actors that Mo Ting had chosen were indeed impeccable. The actors on the list, whether it was in terms of acting skills, fame or mannerisms, were all top-notch. But after looking through the list, Tang Ning furrowed her brows. Perhaps it was because she had read the script too many times, so the characters didn't fit. I keep feeling like something is missing. After hearing this, Mo Ting sat down beside Tang Ning and nodded his head. So you've noticed. The type of arrogance that others don't understand can easily be acted out, Tang Ning replied. But perhaps Yu Shanshan can act out the role? Mo Ting thought for a moment before taking the documents from Tang Ning's hands. The flight to France has already been confirmed. It will be tomorrow afternoon. After that, you need to start preparing for Fashion Week. Seeing the tiredness in Mo Ting's eyes, Tang Ning's heart ached as she asked, is there anything I can do for you? Now that Star King is on track and preparations for Stupid are almost done, shouldn't you get some rest? Since I'm going to the shoot this time, accompany me and take it as a distraction. To be honest, the higher-ups at Hai Rui don't really approve of Stupid, because it's too risky. Although they could use a top-notch director and actors, this film is too emotional and doesn't have high expectations. After hearing Mo Ting's words, Tang Ning understood that no one understood this better than Mo Ting. In an era where sex, fans, popularity and special effects were sold, a tight story without the elements of popular culture was not likely to be accepted by the public. This film can be a hit, Tang Ning said confidently. With your business acumen, there's no way you can't tell the audience for this film. In reality, the audience isn't attracted by the celebrity effect or special effects. They are simply looking forward to seeing a shocking story in the cinema, not special effects. The reason why you are hesitating is because this story was written by you. Mo Ting looked at Tang Ning in shock. I can honestly say that this story is amazing. You were able to move me, move Coke and move Fools. Plus, we all belong to different groups of people. Isn't that enough to explain the problem? Even though, I don't understand why you're only willing to share this story now. Mo Ting admitted defeat. He had never mentioned this to anyone before, but Tang Ning was able to guess. So he lifted his hand and gently touched Tang Ning's cheek. This is the script I wrote before I took over Hai Rui. In other words, this was Mo Ting's dream. It was strange. His dream wasn't to be an actor or a military officer, but to write a script. Trust me, a film with a theme like this will not only be popular in China. That's why I'm considering hiring an overseas actor for the role of the male lead's father. For the sake of international appeal, Mo Ting had given it a lot of thought. Just like every other time they watched a movie, the husband and wife had a lot of topics to discuss about the movie. At this time, Tang Ning realized that talking about films could actually make Mo Ting relax. This normally busy and intelligent man, when it came to talking about the things he liked, he could also be so excited. Tang Ning really wanted to complete the dream that Mo Ting didn't get to fulfill when he was young. So no one was allowed to stop Stupid from being filmed. That night, it was also the day that Qi Xinyan visited the elders of the Tang family home. Facing such a big family, even Father Qi had to be cautious, let alone a junior like Qi Xinyan. But as soon as Qi Xinyan entered the Tang family home, she discovered that Tang Xian was the only one present. Everyone else was busy with their own tasks. Qi Xinyan lowered her guard. But she couldn't deny that the Tang Xian and Tang Ning in front of her were indeed sisters. They looked so similar that when they smiled, they both had faint dimples on their cheeks. Xian Jia, I'm actually here today because I wanted to ask about Tang Ning. I bumped into her a few days ago at a dinner party, and we chatted for a bit. But I noticed that she didn't mention her family much. It's because she was kicked out of the family by grandfather. Tang Xian replied straightforwardly. Chapter 307. Why are you suddenly interested in her? Tang Xian maintained her elegant demeanor as she asked Qi Xinyan with a sharp gaze. You two don't actually know each other, do you? After being seen through, Qi Xinyan smiled awkwardly and explained. I simply don't understand why a rich heiress would humiliate herself and implicate her family. You don't need to worry about this. Tang Ning is self-aware. Tang Xian interrupted Qi Xinyan stiffly. Miss Qi, this is a Tang family matter. Qi Xinyan knew the Tang family weren't to be offended, so she took a step back in order to advance. Xian Jia, I don't mean anything by it. I simply feel it's a pity. There's nothing for you to feel sorry about. After all, she was merely the child of a mistress and had no status in the Tang family. Luckily, Tang Ning knew where she stood. At least, she knew better than her mother. So the Tang family simply pretended Tang Ning didn't exist and didn't interfere with each other. Qi Xinyan did not find out anything useful. All she knew was, Tang Ning had indeed been kicked out of the Tang family. After Qi Xinyan left, Tang Xian instructed a servant to clean up the cup she had drunk from. Just as she was about to stand up, she saw Elder Tang enter the living room with the help of a walking stick. Grandfather. I just saw Miss Qi, what's the matter? Tang Xian did not dare to mention Tang Ning in front of Elder Tang, so she simply replied, I just came to pay a visit. I don't have any other intentions. Elder Tang glanced at Tang Xian. His sharp gaze was filled with suspicion, but he did not probe any further. Instead, he said in a serious tone, I've seen the news about Miss Qi and Tang Ning. Is she the socialite that you were talking about? She shook hands with my granddaughter. Yet she insisted on washing her hands because she thought it was dirty. Tang Xian froze. Grandfather. Don't think that I'm still angry at Tang Ning. You all know why I chased Tang Ning out of the family. The person that did such a ridiculous thing was your father. It had nothing to do with Tang Ning. I may have been disappointed in her, but Tang Ning is also my granddaughter. This is an undeniable fact. Elder Tang did not say much, but Tang Xian felt a strong sense of discomfort and unease. In this family, Tang Ning was the only child of a mistress, yet, she received the most love from her grandfather. What did Tang Ning have to deserve this? Plus, What did grandfather mean by this? Tongning had no idea that her name had already caused a commotion in the Tang family. She was simply focused on preparing for the filming of the French film Fools. She wanted to give it her best shot and create the effect that Mo Ting wanted. The day before they left for France, Long Jie asked Tongning for some time off. As she packed her luggage, Tongning turned to look at Long Jie confusedly. Haven't you always followed me through thick and thin? Ever since she got together with Lu Che, she no longer clung to me. I want to spend a few more days with him. Plus, when you go to France, boss will be there for you. Whether or not I am there, it doesn't make a difference, Long Jie explained with a smile. Tongning looked at Long Jie carefully and noticed marks on her neck. Is that the reason you abandoned me? Long Jie quickly held onto her neck and cleared her throat. Lu Che did something to you. What attack? That sounds so unpleasant. Long Jie pulled out the marriage certificate from her bag and showed it to Tongning. We are legally married, legally married. Tongning looked at Long Jie and Lu Che's marriage certificate and was a little surprised. Why haven't I heard you mention this before? That day. Later that night, the two of us couldn't control ourselves. So, I told him that I didn't want to have sex before marriage. So, the next day we got our marriage certificate. Tongning handed the marriage certificate back to Long Jie and felt a little upset. You got married so hastily. I didn't even get a chance to give you my blessings. What else is there to say between us? Long Jie laughed. Plus, this was decided by Lu Che and I. We simply wanted to spend some time together in our own little world. What we have right now is perfect. If I don't allow you to take time off like this, would I still have any humanity left? Tongning put down her luggage and gently hugged Long Jie. You must continue to be so lovey-dovey. Over the past few days, because of Star King's acquisition, Lu Che has been extremely busy. How about I give my husband a phone call and ask him to give your husband a few days off? What do you think? Oh, you are the best. That afternoon, Mo Ting returned home. Tongning told him about Lu Che and Long Jie's marriage and asked him to give Lu Che some time off. Mo Ting thought for a moment and did not reject. After all, we don't need him for the time being. Are you looking down on Lu Che? Tongning couldn't help but laugh as she handed Mo Ting their luggage. No wonder you've been handling things slower lately. It turns out, you've been focusing your energy elsewhere. Mo Ting gestured for Tongning to stand still and not move around. He then carried their luggage into the car. Everything's packed, let's go. But you are going overseas with me. Why don't you let Feng Yu replace Lu Che for a few days? In reality, Tongning wanted to help Hu Jingjing. Lu Che and Long Jie were already married, but Hu Jingjing and Feng Yu were currently separated. Hu Jingjing isn't in France. Tongning was shocked. How did Mo Ting see through her plan? Plus, you've underestimated your husband. Tongning did not refute as she pulled open the car door and boarded the car with Mo Ting. Their flight was set for 8 p.m. Mo Ting arrived at the airport with a few accompanying staff. Chapter 308. It was a very strange sight. If a normal celebrity were to do something like this at a place like this, they would definitely think that it was a publicity stunt. But when it came to Tongning and Mo Ting, it was a harmonious scene that made everyone feel comfortable. Mo Ting's abstinence had long been ingrained in the netizens' hearts, just based on the fact that he was previously elusive, yet he was now willing to give up his personal space and freedom for Tongning. Everyone had enough reason to believe that he treasured Tongning. Even stranger, even though everyone knew that Tongning and Mo Ting's status in the industry were as different as the clouds and mud. Damn it, no one felt like she was trying to climb up the social ladder. She was obviously a cold person. But just a moment ago, in order to not tire Mo Ting out, she lowered her pride and bowed to everyone so they could be lenient. The way she treated the man with equal love made everyone feel like they were worthy of respect. Plenty of women, especially female artists, enjoyed being doted on by men as if it was only natural. But while Tongning was paying attention to Mo Ting, she was also genuinely concerned about whether he was tired or not. To be honest, I didn't like Tongning in the past. I felt like she was always putting on airs. But after seeing her take off her glasses and bow to everyone for Emoting's sake, I suddenly feel like she's not as annoying as before. I feel the exact opposite. I feel like Tongning is the type of person that treats her own people especially well. I can tell just by looking at how she treats her assistant. Plus, when she and Emoting are together, I can feel the respect and admiration she has for him. I'm actually quite envious of her. These were the conversations and discussions of the passers-by as they followed Tongning and Emoting for the entire journey. But at this moment, Tongning only had Emoting in her eyes. So as soon as they boarded the plane, Tongning said to Emoting, "Hurry and go to sleep. I've never seen you so tired." Emoting did not say a word as he leaned against Tongning's shoulder. Not long after, he fell asleep. Tongning stretched out her hand and rubbed his temples. Her heart ached for him, but there was nothing she could do. During the 11-hour flight, Emoting barely woke up once. Tongning did not disturb him. Even though her entire body was numb, she did not move an inch. It wasn't until the plane was about to land that Emoting slowly opened his eyes. "You're awake? How long have I slept for?" Emoting sat up and looked at the time before turning to look at Tongning. "Almost 10 hours? Have you been lying there all this time?" "I'm fine," Tongning said. Emoting didn't believe her. He reached out and pulled her into his embrace, only to discover her entire body was stiff. "Don't be so silly in the future." "But I like doing this for you. Besides, isn't love just two idiots getting together?" Seeing Emoting's heartbroken expression, Tongning couldn't help but smile. She felt that there wouldn't be another couple in this world like them. Even if it was a small matter, they would still be heartbroken for each other for so long. As expected, as soon as Tongning got off the plane, she was carried away. Tongning also had fans in France, so she had no choice but to bury her head in Emoting's chest. She didn't want to be the center of attention again. Originally, Emoting wanted to let Tongning get used to the jet lag after they arrived in France. But Ful said they couldn't wait any longer, and urged them to hurry to the studio. Tongning understood how Ful's was feeling, so she replied, "I slept for quite some time on the plane. Plus, who would know if it was night or day on set? I can do it." Emoting hugged her tightly for 3 minutes. After arriving in France, the couple had a quick shower and hurried over to Ful's studio. As soon as she saw the couple, Ful's was excited. She immediately hugged Tongning and said, "I can't wait for you to try it on." As soon as Tongning saw the finished product, she was also amazed by Ful's talent. The aura of the clothes was very similar to the actress from Stupid. "Go ahead." Emoting's eyes were filled with anticipation. Tongning nodded her head and entered the changing room. After putting on the first set of clothes, she suddenly felt like she was the actress and the actress was herself. Tongning was currently wearing a black and white checkered dress with a champagne-colored scarf as her accessory. Tongning suddenly remembered the description of the actress in the script. Especially during the part where she was kept by a rich businessman. She wandered around the nightclub looking for men. She wanted to accept her fate, but at the same time, she didn't want to give up. She sat at the bar in her checkered dress and scanned the men that walked past. She hoped to meet a man that could make her heart beat faster, so she could spend the night with him. Tongning walked out of the changing room with this feeling in her heart. Afterwards, Fuls covered her mouth in shock. When she first walked in, she was Tongning, but when she walked out, she was a completely different person. Even the makeup on her face had not changed. Emoting's expression was complicated as well. He had always known that Tongning was good at analyzing the feelings that clothes were trying to convey. But he had no idea, Tongning was also good at analyzing his script. "Perfect. Absolutely perfect," Fuls exclaimed. "Oh God, who is this? Is this still Tongning?" Tongning looked at Emoting expectantly. The couple stared at each other for quite some time without saying a word. In the end, Emoting pulled Tongning into his embrace and hugged her tightly. Tongning had made him feel like he was looking at a character from a film. "President Emo, are you still hesitating?" Fuls asked excitedly. "I think she will definitely be the female lead of the film." After hearing Ful's words, Tongning finally understood. So she quickly explained, At most, I can give you an idea of what kind of actress to look for. Emoting did not respond too much. He didn't want to force Tongning to do anything, nor did he want to give her too much pressure. Seeing Emoting remain silent, Tongning asked in disbelief, "Don't tell me you also think I'm suitable?" "Because you understand me and know how I feel," Emoting said sincerely. Tongning understood him too well, so she naturally understood his script. "But the agency has already spoken to you, Shanshan. So don't worry, we will only be filming a film." "Okay," Tongning nodded. She was an outsider. If she was asked to play the role of a passerby or a corpse, she felt she could do it. But the female lead, especially when it came to Emoting's script. "President Emo, are you sure you don't want to reconsider? Fashion Week is about to start." Emoting changed the topic. "Plus, I hope she can shine in her own field. She doesn't lack anything, so there's no need for her to change her career. You will regret it." Fools had always felt that some things were destined to happen. Chapter 309. Fools did not have a lot of work to do. The entire shoot only took half a day. But looking at Tongning in front of the camera, Fools still felt it was a pity that Emoting didn't use her. "Are you suspecting that Tongning doesn't have a professional foundation and can't handle the role?" Fools asked Emoting. "I simply don't want to kidnap her," Emoting replied as he crossed his arms. "She has her own dreams that she wants to achieve. I don't want her to give up on something that's already within her reach because of me. The filming of Stupid clashes with Fashion Week. If she misses February's Fashion Week, it will affect her ranking next season." "You are really considerate of her." Emoting looked at Tongning through the camera lens and noticed her confidence. He then smiled and said, "I only have this one treasure. Even if it's my dream, I will still give in for her." "Okay, I don't think I can convince you." Fools knew her limitations. "But no matter what, I am still deeply honored to have met you and a great model like Tongning. I feel the two of you are quite interesting. It seems as long as you work together, nothing can stop you." "It's as you say." Emoting couldn't deny this point. After filming was over, the group gathered for a meal. Director Coke was also present because Stupid was about to hold its press conference. The group treated each other like friends without any awkwardness. However, before they left, Coke turned to Emoting and said mysteriously, "Actually, I also have high hopes for your wife." Emoting smiled without giving Coke an answer. Seeing the mysterious smiles on the couple's faces, Tongning asked Emoting as soon as they returned to the hotel. "You fools and Director Coke are acting a little strange." "How so?" Emoting asked as he wrapped his arm around Tongning's waist. "Don't tell me they aren't looking at me with a burning gaze?" Tongning asked as she pointed to her eyes. Emoting smiled as he led Tongning to sit on the edge of the bed and explained, "Because they all feel you should be the female lead of Stupid." Tongning froze for a moment without saying a word. However, Emoting quickly dispelled her nervousness. "I've already rejected them. Don't worry." In reality, Tongning understood Emoting had the same desire, but she wasn't so sure. She knew, without any international awards to support her, it wouldn't be appropriate for her to suddenly become an actress. That was equivalent to starting from zero, because it was a whole new field. Most importantly, she was a little afraid. If she really fell in love with acting? This was a difficult multiple-choice question. "What are you thinking about?" Seeing Tongning in a daze, Emoting pressed her down on the bed and removed her robe. Tongning immediately sensed Emoting's intentions. She collected her thoughts and wrapped her arms around Emoting's neck. "What time are you flying back tomorrow?" "Noon. Then." Before Tongning could finish her sentence, Emoting's kiss landed on her lips. Tongning carefully looked at Emoting's thick eyelashes. All of a sudden, she wanted to look at him up close. However, Emoting suddenly sat up, grabbed her hands and placed them on top of his robe. "Help me take them off." Tongning also sat up, but her robe had already slipped off her body. She looked at Emoting in a daze as she removed his robe. Her long and slender fingers silently crawled up his back. Two perfect bodies without any excess fat were entwined like vines. The possessive desire to eat each other into their stomachs was actually the most crazy thing to do. Emoting never left a mark on Tongning's body. Tongning, on the other hand, would occasionally nibble on his shoulder. However, Emoting never felt any pain. He knew better than anyone, this was Tongning's unique mark. After the pleasure, Emoting hugged Tongning and joined their bodies together. Tongning did not say a word, her lips simply curved upwards into a smile. Because, when you love someone, you will understand why you want him to do this to you. You want to possess him in the deepest way possible. Late at night in Beijing, it was colder than in France. The wind was bone-chilling. Meanwhile, actress Yu Shanshan was having dinner with a rich man at a 5-star hotel. As an A-list actress, Yu Shanshan had already won every major award in the country. At the tender age of 31, she had already taken part in a Hollywood film that had grossed nearly $1.5 billion. Amongst all the overseas Chinese actors, she held a certain amount of weight. Of course, she was also one of the A-list actresses that Emoting had already signed. However, just as she was about to sign her contract, a man called Jaking contacted her. He was the mixed-race man that she was currently having dinner with. If Yu Shanshan remembered correctly, Jaking's father was also a shareholder of Hai Rui. So, why would he treat her to dinner alone? Miss you. You are indeed beautiful. Jaking, if you have something to say, then don't hesitate to say it. Yu Shanshan was used to big scenes. But she wanted to know if Jaking was really brave enough to compete with Emoting for her. Miss Yu is indeed a heroine, Jaking laughed. But don't misunderstand. I simply want to pursue you. Pursue me? Yu Shanshan laughed. Why didn't you pursue me earlier or later? Why did you choose this time? This time? Miss Yu's daughter should be able to call you mother by now, right? Did you send someone to investigate me? Yu Shanshan's expression suddenly changed as her gaze turned fierce and angry. In this industry, what secrets can there be? Jaking shrugged. Do you believe me? Hai Rui actually has more information than you do. For example, they know which other female celebrities your lover has slept with. Emoting is too much of a gentleman to use this to threaten his artists. But I'm different. I like to be ruthless. Yu Shanshan took a deep breath and said, Tell me, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to stop filming, stupid? I agree. You don't need to stop filming. You can continue. But I want you to make an accident towards the end, Jaking said. For such a big project, if we have to start all over again after finishing filming, I wonder how Hai Rui's shareholders would feel about Emoting. You can't blame President Mo for this. I naturally have a way to blame it on him, Yu Shanshan scoffed. Yu Shanshan scoffed. So your ambition isn't just to snatch people from Emoting, it's to snatch Hai Rui. Don't worry, I will make sure you get out of this unscathed. You will still be the treasured actress that everyone loves. Yu Shanshan tried her best to hold back her anger. But, when she thought about her daughter and her career, Yu Shanshan had no choice but to temporarily compromise. Even if you do everything you can to snatch it from Emoting, you may not win. Jaking, you are wrong. Emoting has never been a gentleman. When faced with a wolf, he is the devil. You seem to know him very well. Because we were classmates. Chapter 310. Why didn't you try to find out more about this? Yu Shanshan asked. Of course it's not a big deal. But the fact that Hai Rui has access to so much information is unexpected, yet understandable. This is also what sets Emoting apart from others. As long as someone is loyal to him, they will feel safe even if he knows about their privacy. In fact, they will feel a sense of security. You, on the other hand, only know how to use force. That is the difference. After speaking, Yu Shanshan stood up. Before she left, she blew Jaking a kiss. I hope you succeed in seizing power and don't die a horrible death. By the way, some people think that if they are given the same power and status, they will be able to achieve great things. In the end, reality will prove them wrong. They need to know their place. Jaking coldly stroked the corner of his lips. At this point, what did he care about the location of the seat? All he knew was men were wild. There was no man that didn't love power. The next day, Tongning slept with Mo Ting for the entire morning. Originally, she wanted him to rest for a few more days, but seeing his excitement towards stupid, she knew she had no reason to stop him. However, the way they slept last night was a little out of Tongning's expectations of relationships. So, when she woke up, her cheeks were flushed red. On top of that, some of the tools were wrapped around Mo Ting's private parts. It was bound to be uncomfortable, so Tongning had no choice but to help him clean up. As Tongning reached out her hands, Mo Ting woke up. Of course, he did not let her know, otherwise, his little wife would feel awkward again. After Tongning covered him with the blanket, Mo Ting wrapped his arms around her and pressed her under his body. "Mrs. Mo, you are very virtuous." Tongning knew he did it on purpose, so she covered her face in embarrassment. "Sleep a little longer, there's still some time before we leave the airport." After speaking, she pushed Mo Ting away and hid in the bathroom. Mo Ting propped himself up and couldn't help but laugh. If he could be this blissful every morning, he would be willing to trade his life for it. 1 p.m. The couple returned to Beijing. But just before boarding the plane, Tongning received an unexpected phone call. Her expression immediately changed. "I am Tang Xian. After you return, come meet with me." The Tang family. Hearing Tang Xian's voice, Tongning felt like a lifetime had passed. Unknowingly, 9 years had passed. In fact, she was used to being alone, so when she suddenly received a call from the Tang family, her first thought was that there was going to be trouble. On the other side of the phone, seeing Tongning did not respond, Tang Xian's tone hardened. "What, you don't want to? There doesn't seem to be a need for us to meet." When she was young, she had always felt that she had stolen something from someone else. When she was 17 to 18, she was full of youthful vigor, but now that she was 26 years old, she no longer needed to hide her thoughts. She no longer had any feelings for the Tang siblings, apart from hatred. "I'll ask the driver to pick you up tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Tang Xian didn't seem to hear Tongning's words. Tongning couldn't be bothered to refute, so she finally said, "I'll drive there myself." "Suit yourself." Tongning put down her phone and Mo Ting put his arm around her shoulder. "What happened?" "Tang Xian wants to meet with me. She's the eldest daughter of the Tang family. However, I simply want to live my life with you. I don't want to have anything to do with the Tang family." Mo Ting lowered his head and kissed her forehead. His voice was filled with heartache. "I know. I won't stay for long after I meet up with them tomorrow." Tongning asked for Mo Ting's opinion. I'll drive the best car in the house." Tongning understood what Mo Ting meant. He didn't want her to be humiliated by Tang Xian. But Tongning felt there was no point in doing so. After all, Tang Xian's contempt towards her had started with her mother. After boarding the plane, Tongning quickly fell asleep from the night before. Meanwhile, Mo Ting hugged Tongning and fell into deep thought. No one could bully Tongning, not even the Tang family. The next morning, Tongning arrived at her family's underground garage. Seeing the limited edition Maybach parked in the innermost part of the garage, she shook her head and decided to drive the most inconspicuous car. She felt it was more convenient this way. The place to meet up with Tang Xian was at a high-class private club in Beijing. 9 a.m. Tongning arrived at the club and entered the reserved booth. She then waited for Tang Xian to arrive. It seemed, no matter how many years had passed, Tang Xian's habits had not changed. She liked to make others wait for her to highlight her social status. However, Tongning did not show any displeasure. She simply sat in the same spot and flipped through a magazine. Surprisingly, out of the 3 magazines, 2 of them had her on the front cover. Half an hour later, Tang Xian finally arrived. Facing the experienced and ruthless Tang Xian, Tongning actually appeared like a delicate rose. Tang Xian was wearing a dark red turtleneck sweater and a black trench coat. Her ink-black hair was permed into big curls and her makeup was thick but not tacky. Her beauty carried a hint of aggressiveness and wildness. As soon as she saw Tongning, she pulled out a contract from her diamond-encrusted handbag and handed it to her. "This is a share transfer agreement for one of my entertainment companies. If there are no issues, then sign it." Tongning did not move an inch. She simply smiled mockingly. "Just a moment ago, I was downstairs having tea with a client, and saw the car you were driving." Although you've found yourself a rich tycoon in the entertainment industry, he doesn't seem to care much about you. Plus, you don't have a title to him, so it's easy for you to be taken advantage of. Sign it, otherwise you'll end up with nothing. Tongning lowered her head and took a sip of her coffee. Did you call me here today just to say this? A few days ago, grandfather mentioned your name in front of me. Are you afraid I'll return to the Tang family? Tongning finally understood Tang Xian's intention as her voice turned cold. If you hadn't come to disturb me, I wouldn't even have remembered the Tang family existed. You can take back the company. In exchange for me not returning to the Tang family, the two of you must never appear in front of me again. I want you to retire from the modeling industry. Tang Xian said in an even colder voice. You are becoming more and more famous by the day. Whenever you are mentioned, people will inevitably think of your family background. Although we don't want to admit it, the media will automatically link us together. I don't want to see a single member of the Tang family's name appear on the pages of those dirty magazines. Because I feel disgusted when my name is placed next to a bunch of shady names. Chapter 311. I guess so. But I don't think they are shady. At least, they rely on their own abilities to survive, Tongning retorted. Tang Xian, you need to remember, I'm not returning to the Tang family because I'm kind, but it doesn't mean I owe you anything. From now on, don't ask me to do things like it's only natural. I have the freedom to do whatever I want. Tang Xian was a little surprised. She never expected Tongning to have a temper and refute her. Whether I return to the Tang family or not, it's all up to me. I was simply being polite when I mentioned the terms. Don't take it seriously. You've been married for 3 years, and you still haven't given birth to a child. You must be worrying too much about other people. You should focus on yourself first. If there's nothing else, I'm going to leave first. Next time, don't ask me out for no reason. I was simply giving face to grandfather this time. After speaking, Tongning stood up. But just as she was about to leave, Mo Ting's tall figure appeared in front of the couple and asked, Are you done? Aha, Tongning nodded. Miss Tang is quite generous to give me an entertainment agency. Mo Ting wrapped his arm around Tongning's waist and looked at the share transfer agreement. He then laughed. I wonder where Miss Tang's sense of superiority comes from? You are a part of the Tang family and Tongning is a part of the Mo family. Above the Tang family is the Mo family. Don't think you're invincible. Don't come looking for Tongning again. If you deny it, I will assume the Tang family is trying to climb up to the Mo family. Tang Xian appeared calm on the surface, but in reality, she was so angry that her entire body was trembling. Mo Ting looked down at Tang Xian. Seeing her reaction, his lips curved upwards in satisfaction as he gestured for Tongning to leave. Let's go. Tongning nodded her head. Her heart felt unusually warm. This was the sense of security her husband gave her. So she couldn't help but complain. The car I drive is being laughed at. That's because you keep a low profile. Tongning got rid of the unhappiness in her heart as she held Mo Ting's hand and left the private club. They then boarded Mo Ting's limited edition sports car and drove off, leaving Tang Xian to smash the cup of coffee in her hand. Tongning, you are capable. Unfortunately, you will never marry into the Mo family. I refuse to believe that the Mo family will tolerate a model. Was this an incomprehensible disease of wealth? On the way home, Tongning smiled. Why are you here? Do you want me to watch you being humiliated with words? Mo Ting looked at Tongning and said in a serious tone. No one can bully you, no one can. You too. Tongning replied with the same determination. Their eyes met. In the end, Tongning smiled. Don't worry, I'm no longer the Tongning from back then. I won't take this lying down. Taking a step back, even if I tolerate it today, it's so that I can return the slap in the future. Stupid is about to hold its press release. Do you want to attend with me? The press conference had nothing to do with her, however. Yes, Tongning answered straightforwardly. A doting smile appeared on Mo Ting's face as he escorted her back to Hyatt Regency. That night, Tongning received news from Mo Ting that she had once again won the title of the most beautiful legs in the world. She was now ranked 3rd. Mo Ting arranged for Feng Yu to release an announcement to raise Tang Ning's international status. Following on, they had to prepare for the Fashion Week auditions. But Tang Ning decided to head to Milan in the middle of January when Stupid officially began filming. In reality, the male lead had already joined the cast, and Yu Shanshan was to join the cast of Stupid as soon as she completed her previous film. But because of her schedule, Yu Shanshan requested for her scenes to be filmed together. In reality, there weren't many scenes, only around 100. But no one expected Yu Shanshan to make this request, because she was brewing a huge conspiracy. Yu Shanshan was not an actress under Hai Rui, so Hai Rui had no way of coordinating her schedule. So Mo Ting agreed. 2 days later, Hai Rui held a press conference for Stupid. Hai Rui's main focus was on the world-class director, 3-time Fei Tian Best Actor Lin Sheng and Hollywood's Chinese Best Supporting Actress Yu Shanshan. Of course, there was no lack of famous American actors joining the cast. Stupid had used the best resources in the film and television industry. As soon as the press conference was released, film fans immediately raised their heads in anticipation. After all, they were used to watching fan films. So they were hoping for a film with a good storyline and good acting skills. On the other hand, the poster for Stupid used the male lead's entire face. Half of it was lifeless like a fool, while the other half was sharp like a demon. Such a contrast immediately attracted the attention of movie fans. Plus, it was produced by Hai Rui, so film fans were extremely excited. They all left comments expressing their anticipation for the film to be released. At the press conference for Stupid, if a careful reporter was present, he would have noticed that Tang Ning was sitting below the stage. Her eyes were filled with trust and admiration as she looked at Mo Ting. No one knew who the screenwriter of Stupid was. In fact, Mo Ting had not told anyone. In this entire world, only Tang Ning knew. After Mo Ting finished his speech, he gently nodded at Yu Shanshan as a greeting. However, Yu Shanshan's eyes flashed with an unnatural look. If a smart person like Mo Ting found out that someone was messing with him like this, would he suffer a huge blow when the truth was revealed? Mo Ting walked past Yu Shanshan and returned to his seat beside Tang Ning. At this moment, the reporters realized that Tang Ning had been sitting below the stage the entire time. The two of them sat side by side and did not make any particularly intimate movements. They would only occasionally whisper a few words into each other's ears, and their heads against each other's. Wait a moment, I have a meeting to attend. I'll get Lu Che to take you home. Okay, you can go first. In the end, without Mo Ting around, Tang Ning was immediately surrounded by reporters after the press conference. Miss Tang Ning, which celebrity are you here to support today? Tang Ning had a feeling that the reporters were asking the obvious. After a moment of silence, Tang Ning replied, "This film is very exciting." In other words, she was here because of the film. The reporters choked for a moment. They suddenly felt that Tang Ning's ability to play Tai Chi with the media was getting better and better. In that case, President Mo must value this film a lot, right? I heard he personally chose the director and actors. He values every single one of Hai Rui's productions. Tang Ning did not fall for the trap that the media had dug for her. Rumor has it that President Mo has decided to cast you as the female lead. Is this true? Hearing this question, Tang Ning subconsciously looked in Yu Shanshan's direction and replied, "I'm not sure where you heard this from, but this is the first time I've heard of it." Chapter 312. How could that be? You are President Mo's girlfriend. With such a good script and such a big production team, this is a rare opportunity. If Miss Tang Ning was given the opportunity, would you agree to star in it? Hearing the reporter's questions, Tang Ning furrowed her brows. President Mo is also your manager. How could he not consider his own artist? The reporter's voice was very loud and his questions were very direct. As a result, the main production team of Stupid naturally felt uncomfortable after hearing their questions. I think the reporter that asked this question hasn't graduated yet, right? A crisp voice interrupted Tang Ning's response from behind. Her tone was a little arrogant. Tang Ning turned around to see Yu Shanshan had walked over to her side, and was answering the reporter's question on her behalf. The President Mo I know has always been impartial. He is not someone who can't differentiate between work and personal matters. Plus, don't bully her while her boyfriend isn't around. Yu Shanshan's words sounded like she was trying to help Tongning out of a difficult situation, but Tongning felt her words were harsh on her ears. However, Tongning did not show it. She simply maintained her usual smile and said to the media, "Every decision that President Mo makes is after careful consideration and is most suitable for everyone. The reason why I am here today is purely because I like Stupid, and because I am familiar with the writer. I simply wanted to give him some support and encouragement. I have no other intentions." After speaking, Tongning did not wait for the reporters and Yu Shanshan to respond as she directly left. It was obvious, Tongning had no intention of accepting Yu Shanshan's help. Because Yu Shanshan's tone was like, "Are you guys joking?" Even if Mo Ting wanted to promote his girlfriend, he wouldn't hire a model that doesn't know anything. What does she know about acting? In reality, that was exactly what Yu Shanshan meant. If she wanted to walk on the runway, she should focus on her runway. Not every bowl of rice could be eaten by her, especially when it was such a big production. Is Tongning leaving just like that? Shanshan helped her out. Isn't she going to say a word of thanks? What do you guys know? She must have begged President Mo for help, but he didn't agree, so she's not happy. Yu Shanshan listened to the discussion of the reporters as she turned around and left with a meaningful look in her eyes. Although she said these words on purpose, it was undeniable that she was sincere. Tongning was Mo Ting's person, so it was easy for her to give him pillow talk. Plus, as an inexperienced model, if she was to take part in the film, wouldn't she be making a joke out of all the actors that had been honed for years? After the press conference, Yu Shanshan and her assistant left the venue together. However, they bumped into Jaking in the parking lot. Yu Shanshan carefully got into Jaking's car and asked, "What are you doing here? I've already achieved the result you wanted. Now, the reporters all know there's a gap between us." "You really put in a lot of effort," Jaking praised. "You only have 100 scenes. Just bear with it. If you don't want to be discovered by Mo Ting, you better not appear in front of me." Yu Shanshan scoffed as she pushed open the door and left Jaking's sports car. In actual fact, Yu Shanshan really liked the story of Stupid. If she wasn't threatened, she really wanted to use Stupid to fight for a few more awards. What a pity. Perhaps this was all fate. Tongning appears at press conference and falls out with Yu Shanshan. Tongning suspected of secretly asking boyfriend to take part in Stupid. Yu Shanshan mocks Tongning. "Walk your runway path well." This was the article that the media released after Tongning appeared at the press conference for Stupid. After Long Jia saw it, she directly crumpled the newspaper into a ball and threw it into the bin. Damn, are the media blind? When did we say we wanted to act? Plus, why can't we act? Long Jia couldn't accept it. Actually, Long Jia had long felt that Tongning was not only a natural model, she was also a natural actress. Because every time she appeared on the runway, her soul would blend in with the stage and the exhibits. It made people feel like she was a person that could change a lot. She could blend in with any environment. As for those film fans, they kept saying that a model should be a good model and not ruin the film. You are the one who ruined the film. Your whole family ruined the film. They're not wrong, Tongning said as she held onto the magazine. I don't know how to act, that is the truth. But they don't have to make it sound so bad, right? Tongning didn't mind at all. After all, they weren't in the same industry, so it was fine as long as she didn't mind. To be honest, did President Mo tell you to act in the film? Long Jia suddenly jumped over to Tongning's side and leaned on her shoulder as she asked suggestively. Why do you want me to act? Tongning asked as she glared at Long Jia. It will allow you to develop more comprehensively. Also, according to your personality, you will want to try it, especially when someone provokes you. But I really don't understand anything. Soon, Yu Shanshan will be joining the cast. From now on, there will be less news about her. Just ignore her. I believe, if they were actors from Hairue, boss would have dealt with them a long time ago. Tongning smiled helplessly. We are not competitors, There is no need for us to be so involved. She can beat me up in the film and television industry, but I can also laugh at her in the modeling industry. We are simply using our strengths to compete with others' weaknesses. There is nothing for you to be angry about. That's true. Long Jie nodded her head in agreement. By the way, Jingjing seems to have returned to China. Since you don't have any work these few days, do you want to go look for her? Forget it, Tongning shook her head. Let her spend some time with Fang Yu. 7 p.m. Mo Ting returned home to find Tongning lying on the sofa with her script in her hands, waiting for him. He immediately ran over and carried her in his arms. Tongning had a light sleep. As soon as she woke up to find Mo Ting, she rubbed her head against his chest. It's time to get off work. I saw the interview after the press conference. It wasn't a big deal. Tongning replied gently, but after thinking for a moment, she suddenly asked, does Yu Shanshan's agency have a plan to create hype? Why do you say that? I feel like the reporter's question is too misleading, Tongning replied in seriousness. Plus, only Coke and Fools mentioned me to you. How did the reporter find out? After hearing this, Mo Ting gently nudged Tongning's head. I will take note of it. You've worked hard, wifey. Judging from your calm expression, do you know what you're doing? Before talking to Yu Shanshan, I spoke to the person in charge of her agency. She doesn't have any upcoming events, but she suddenly requested to focus on filming. She said there were some changes to her schedule. From what I know, she only has one overseas event, and it was already scheduled a long time ago. Mo Ting replied. Then why did you? I also have a new plan, Mo Ting said as he placed her on the soft bed. Chapter 313. These few days. Yu Shanshan finally joined the cast. Originally, Yu Shanshan thought the news of Tongning snatching the female lead would be suppressed. But Yu fans ended up leaving comments on Mo Ting's social media page, telling him not to take the unorthodox path, and to keep an eye on Tongning and not ruin the film. But that place was where Mo Ting and Tongning's CP fans gathered. So seeing the Yu fans' insults, there was no way they could tolerate it. So they immediately retaliated, mocking Yu Shanshan for her short legs and saying she couldn't hold up to the aura of an actress. Just like that, a battle between fans began. However, Tongning had never publicly expressed or hinted that she wanted to steal the lead role of Stupid. However, the matter continued to be stirred up. Even though Hai Rui tried their best to suppress public opinion, the anger of the fans wasn't something that could be resolved simply by removing the trending searches. Tongning, who is fanning the flames behind the scenes. Long Jie looked at the various comments and felt something wasn't right. But they didn't offend Yu Shanshan, did they? Plus, in their eyes, why is there such a huge difference between a model and an actor? What do you mean by at least relying on acting skills to make a living? Why don't you let these people try a fashion show? Stop reading these boring gossips, Tongning said as she lifted her head. Long Jie opened her mouth and sighed. No matter what, Tongning always managed to maintain her composure. But Long Jie couldn't. Even though she knew she didn't need to care about these people, Long Jie was still angered to the point of vomiting blood. Why hasn't boss stepped out to clarify this matter? Tongning suddenly lowered her head and did not say a word. Meanwhile, Long Jie's eyes widened. Does boss really want you to act? That was why he kept quiet. Otherwise, if Tongning accepted, it would be a slap in the face. Then it's not him. There's no way he would use me to create hype. I'm afraid this matter isn't as simple as Yu Shanshan. Otherwise, he would have dealt with it long ago and wouldn't have waited until now. It sounds a little complicated. Since it's all under the boss's control, I won't ask. Tongning nodded her head. You should have said this from the start. Then tell me, if you were really needed, would you do it? She simply hoped Yu Shanshan wouldn't cause any more trouble. But if Mo Ting needed her, she would definitely step forward. Seeing Tongning did not respond, Long Jie smiled. No matter what you do, I will support you. You read, you watch. I will continue to fight a few hundred rounds with this retard. President, the fans are still fighting fiercely. Lu Che showed the latest data to Mo Ting. I've already investigated a few active fans and checked their IP address. It seems the same person is behind all of this. Someone is indeed stirring up trouble behind the scenes. But there's something I don't understand. Why didn't the president clarify? Wuxia was a little confused. Logically speaking, it was just a simple request from Emoting. Was it really that difficult? If it's Yu Shanshan, she is already the lead actress. According to her reputation, does she need to use Tongning to create hype? Hai Rui has already prepared a series of promotional plans. There is no need for her to risk offending me, so. I understand now. There's someone else behind this. Who are you trying to make things difficult for? Wuxia thought for a few seconds before pointing his finger at Emoting. You. But if you step forward to clarify, none of this will happen. Wuxia returned to the original question. But after thinking about it, Emoting still had not said a word, which meant, does the president really want the madam to act? As long as she tells me that she doesn't want to act, I will step forward to clarify. As long as she doesn't say anything, I will definitely pave the way for her. So, expanding the matter is simply a part of the plan. Since Yu Shanshan requested for everyone to film together, it meant she couldn't just stay out of this. Since they were all in the same boat, he would simply give them a tooth for a tooth. Will the madam want to act? She wants to, Emoting replied without hesitation. Because she knows she is the most suitable person for the role. More importantly, she knows how important stupid is to me. I hate it when people give up halfway. Those that challenge me usually pay a higher price. This was something Wuxia believed. Late at night, Tongning looked at the schedule that Emoting had arranged for her. Filming for Stupid had already begun, and it was time for her to attend Fashion Week. But whenever she thought about Yu Shanshan, she felt uneasy. She indeed had a special feeling toward Stupid. Not only because it was written by Emoting, but because, through Stupid, she gained a deeper understanding of Emoting's world. As a woman that doted on her husband, she couldn't tolerate anyone being disrespectful to his work. For example, the male lead Lin Sheng had publicly supported Yu Shanshan and ridiculed her. But Tongning did not feel uncomfortable because Lin Sheng was extremely serious about the script. As long as she was serious about filming, she didn't care what Lin Sheng said. But Yu Shanshan wasn't. That night, Tongning tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Perhaps she was afraid of waking Emoting up. So she tiptoed to the garden to get some air to wake herself up. But Emoting had always been paying attention to his chest. How could he not notice his arms were empty? It's only 3 a.m. Why are you up? Tongning turned around and looked at Emoting as she shook her head. I can't sleep. Did I put pressure on you? Emoting asked with a double meaning as he wrapped his arms around Tongning from behind. Let's do what we did in the past. If Yu Shanshan stops, or if the person behind her stops, then we won't make a move. Nothing will change, okay? What if they don't stop? Emoting's eyes suddenly darkened. Tongning turned around and wrapped her arms around Emoting's waist. I'm sorry, they can bully me, but they can't bully you. I'll act. No matter how difficult it is, I will still try for you. Emoting smiled gently and hugged Tongning tightly. Okay. Who told Tongning to be a husband that was doted on by power? After the couple agreed, Emoting returned to the bedroom with Tongning. He couldn't imagine how much she cared about this matter to the point that she couldn't sleep at night. He didn't mean to force her like this. He couldn't help but feel his heart ache. But since he had made a promise to Tongning, Emoting was going to put it into practice. He promised to give Yu Shanshan a chance, so he wasn't going to go back on his word. So the next day, Emoting went to visit Hai Rui's film studio. While Yu Shanshan was waiting to film, he called her into the waiting room. Although they were classmates, Yu Shanshan did not dare to look into Emoting's eyes. He was too stern. It was like he could see right through her. Chapter 314. Did you think that by not looking into my eyes, you would be able to avoid the fact that I came looking for you today? Emoting was dressed in a dark blue custom-made suit, giving off a noble aura. Yu Shanshan was a little flustered, But she gathered her courage and looked at Mo Ting. Mo Ting looked at Yu Shanshan and handed her the contract in his hand. I've increased your salary. Why? Because I want to buy your loyalty, Mo Ting said straightforwardly. He stared into Yu Shanshan's eyes and said, since we are classmates, I can ignore what you did behind my back. But my patience is limited. I don't understand what you're saying. This time, Mo Ting did not say a word. He simply smiled at Yu Shanshan. But this smile was enough to make Yu Shanshan feel the power of destruction. For a split second, she wanted to tell the truth, but Jaking had also come looking for her. The child is now in Jaking's hands. For the sake of the child, Yu Shanshan took a deep breath and said, thank you, President Mo. I won't let you down. So, he stood up to leave. However, after taking a few steps, he turned around and asked Yu Shanshan, do you really think Tongning won't be able to act in your role? Before Yu Shanshan could understand what Mo Ting meant, Mo Ting had already turned to leave. Yu Shanshan weakly sat on the sofa, but her palms were covered in cold sweat. Mo Ting understood. This was Mo Ting's final and most direct warning. But Jaking had no intention of backing down this time, so what else could she do? So the news was still hyping up, and the fans were still fighting. Yu Shanshan repeated Mo Ting's words to Jaking. At this time, Jaking said to Yu Shanshan, keep a low profile for now. I will also keep a low profile for a while. Once your scenes are almost over, I will once again bring up this matter and stir it up. When that time comes, go tell Mo Ting and ask him to arrange a scene where you and Tongning break the ice and lure her onto the set. What do you want this time? Yu Shanshan was a little frightened. The feeling of being constantly used by others made her feel abnormally uncomfortable. You'll know what I want to do when the time comes. You really aren't just a normal kind of sinister. After saying this, Yu Shanshan stepped out of Jaking's car. That afternoon, Mo Ting arrived on set to visit Tongning. However, it had to be said that from that day onwards, the number of fans arguing online decreased by a lot, and the two sides became much more harmonious. Filming seemed to be going on the right track. Tongning followed Mo Ting to visit Yu Shanshan on set. In the end, she discovered that Yu Shanshan was indeed worthy of being nominated for Hollywood's Best Supporting Actress. Her acting was indisputably good. So Tongning relaxed and her trip to Milan was just around the corner. Mrs. Mo, I have to remind you that it's already late January. Are we going to announce our marriage in February? Mo Ting had just returned home from work and was changing into comfortable home clothes in the cloakroom. Tongning was in the middle of packing when she heard Mo Ting's question. She was a little surprised as she tilted her head and thought for a few seconds. What do you think? During February, you will spend most of your time in Milan. When your work is almost done, I will make arrangements, Mo Ting replied. I'm fine with anything. I'll listen to you. Tongning turned and smiled at Mo Ting. Announcing their marriage. Who knew how many people would be shocked to death? Tongning thought about it and felt a little nervous. After all, a lot of things were going to be different. By the way, I don't want Long Jie to accompany me on the flight to Milan tomorrow. Let Feng Yu accompany me for 2 days. When you take over, he will return to Hairue. After changing, Mo Ting approached Tongning from behind and helped her close her luggage. He then nodded his head. No matter where you go, you never forget to ask for benefits from your good friend. Think about the last time Jingjing came back. She didn't even stay for a day before leaving. This time, she will also be in Milan. Tongning wrapped her arms around Mo Ting's waist. We've been apart for 2 days and you already couldn't stand it, let alone them being apart for half a month. Madam President, if you want someone, do you think I dare to not let them go? I will ask Feng Yu to free up some time in a moment. Tongning was satisfied. She stood on her tiptoes and wrapped her arms around Mo Ting's neck as she gave him a lingering kiss. Mo Ting noticed she was a little unsteady, so he wrapped his arm around her waist. Why are you trembling? Every time I kiss you, I still feel nervous. It's like kissing someone for the first time, and I can't help but get excited. Mo Ting's finger gently swept across Tongning's cheek and stopped at her earlobe as he played with it. To me, you are also my goddess, my only queen. As their eyes met, the couple quickly kissed. Tongning felt weak all over. She wanted to find something to lean on, so she grabbed onto Emoting and said while panting, "Let's go back to the bedroom, okay?" Emoting did not respond. He couldn't bear to be apart for 2 days. So he directly pressed Tongning against the closet and said in a deep voice, "But I can't wait anymore." Tongning felt she could no longer look directly into the closet from now on, especially since there were so many mirrors inside. This man seemed to be good at turning the house into a place of pleasure. Most importantly, she had no way of rejecting him. The next day, Tongning and Fangyu arrived in Milan on time. As the person accompanying Tongning this time wasn't Emoting, the media once again wrote that Tongning had a disagreement with Emoting over stupid, and had been given the cold shoulder by Emoting. At the end of the day, she is still just his girlfriend. No matter how much he dotes on her, when it comes to important times, benefits still come first. How can relationships in the entertainment industry stand up to challenges? They are simply consoling each other. Did they really think they could get married? These people sure have nothing better to do. How could something like this become a reason for you to break up? Lu Che said helplessly. Emoting put down the documents in his hands and turned to look at the comments online. His eyebrows furrowed. A moment later, he updated his personal page with the latest news. There were no words, only a photo. A photo of Tongning lying in his arms. Do they have to do this? Tongning has already left the country, yet President Emo still wants to show off his PDA. Why are the media so nosy? Even Emoting can't stand it anymore. How can he allow them to slander his girlfriend so easily? I think it's time for the media to stop. All I know is Emoting spoils his wife too much. What cold shoulder? It's simply because they bumped into each other at work. Can you all leave now? After seeing the photo that Emoting had posted, Lu Che couldn't help but feel surprised. Actually, Tongning didn't necessarily care about these rumors. His CEO was getting more and more impatient. In reality, Emoting simply wanted to give the media a firm attitude. Because with this attitude, Tongning would feel at ease no matter where she went. Chapter 315. The Set of Stupid. Within a few days of filming, Yu Shanshan had already completed more than half of her scenes. Although there weren't many scenes, they were extremely important. Although director Koch felt that Tongning was the best candidate, he couldn't help but acknowledge Yu Shanshan's acting. Whether it was her crying scenes or her outburst, her acting was full of tension and was very convincing. Seeing Yu Shanshan rush through her scenes, Best Actor Lin Sheng couldn't help but say to her in private, "Your acting is obvious, you won't be replaced by anyone. You don't need to rush." Yu Shanshan was a little surprised. She never expected the cold and straightforward Best Actor Lin Sheng to speak up for her. However, she felt a little guilty. She didn't rush her scenes because she was afraid someone else would steal her role. She was simply an accomplice in J. King's scheme to harm Tongning and Emoting. "I'm fine," Yu Shanshan replied coldly. Lin Sheng sneered and continued, "Because neither of us are from Hai Rue. I have no reason to stand on your side. Your role isn't something that just anyone can play, let alone a model." "Thank you, I have at least that much confidence." Yu Shanshan took a deep breath. She felt the more she said, the more uncomfortable she felt. Inside the waiting room, amongst the magazines placed randomly, was the cover of Tongning's TQ. Yu Shanshan picked up the magazine in her hands and glanced at Tongning on the cover. She felt the expression in her eyes. Had a spirituality that could see through one's heart. Tongning was innocent, but who wasn't? As long as an artist was involved in an internal battle for power, all that was left was dirty. So Yu Shanshan directly threw the magazine in the bin. "Tongning, don't blame her." Milan. Hilton Hotel. By the time Tongning and Fangyu arrived at the hotel, it was already 10 p.m. Tongning gave Emoting a phone call to let him know she was safe. She then turned to Fangyu, who was putting down his luggage, and said, "Go look for Hu Jingjing. She should also be at this hotel." Of course, Fangyu knew where Hu Jingjing was, and he understood Tongning's good intentions. So he did not reject her offer as he smiled. "Thanks. But don't run around." No matter where I go, I will let you know, Tongning said as she raised her phone. Feng Yu nodded his head. When it came to Tongning, he had complete confidence in her. Afterwards, he pulled out his phone and scrolled through Hua Jingjing's phone number. However, he did not notice the paparazzi following behind him. Hua Rong's studio was extremely persistent towards Tongning, especially after working with King. Previously, Hua Rong was responsible for stirring up conflict between Tang fans and Yu fans online. This was part of their agreement with King. Because the paparazzi were being nurtured by King, they worked even harder. Tongning and Hai Rui's artist-director have split up. Should we stay here or continue to follow them? The paparazzi asked. The couple lived next door to Tongning, so they took the risk to sneak into Tongning's window and place a listening device under it. With the addition of King, their stalking tactics became even more unbridled. Follow me. After receiving their orders, the puppy immediately chased after Feng Yu, leaving Lin Chong behind to keep an eye on Tongning. In reality, Hua Jingjing had not yet stopped working. With over 10 interviews a day, she had no time to worry about anything else. By the time she was done, she looked at the time and realized it was already 2 p.m. Only then did her manager hand her phone to her. Feng Yu called. Just a moment ago, Hua Jingjing was rubbing her temples in exhaustion. But as soon as she heard Feng Yu's name, she immediately snatched the phone out of her manager's hand and called back. Why didn't you tell me earlier? If I told you, would you have abandoned your work and gone to look for him? I can't get through. Hua Jingjing was frustrated when she saw a handsome man standing at the entrance of the set. Without hesitation, Hua Jingjing pounced towards him. How did you find me here? I asked your manager, Feng Yu replied as he hugged Hua Jingjing. Didn't that mean you waited a long time? Not really. Feng Yu looked at his watch before holding on to Hua Jingjing's hand. I'll take you to dinner. Why are you here? Isn't Hai Rui busy? Hua Jingjing followed closely behind Feng Yu. I came with Tongning. She asked the president to lend me for 2 days. Feng Yu continued to walk forward. After leaving the set, he led Hua Jingjing to the car park. Tongning found out I haven't seen you in a long time and really missed you. Before she could finish her sentence, Feng Yu suddenly pressed Hua Jingjing against the car beside him and held her between his arms. He then leaned over and planted a kiss on her lips. Do you still miss me? Yes. Hua Jingjing's eyes were misty, but her answer was firm. Feng Yu removed his jacket and wrapped Hua Jingjing in his embrace. He then engulfed her in a passionate kiss until she lost all energy. Only then did he release her. I missed you too. Hua Jingjing smiled in satisfaction. The couple hugged each other for a long time in the dark corner. It wasn't until Hua Jingjing's stomach rumbled that Feng Yu let out a laugh and pushed her into the car. I'll take you to eat something delicious. The couple were immersed in the joy of their reunion. They did not notice the paparazzi from Hua Rong following them the entire time. Lin Chong knew how difficult it was to capture Tongning's photos, so he used the most agile paparazzi in the agency. Who would have thought, instead of Tongning, he would capture Hua Jingjing? What a touching photo. Especially after the couple boarded the car. Although Feng Yu had closed the windows due to his alertness, it was still possible to see how intimate the couple were. It almost escalated into car sex. The paparazzi returned to the hotel with a pile of photos. He then presented them to Lin Chong like he was presenting a treasure. Previously, there were rumors about the two of them. But Jin Mani suddenly appeared. Now it seems their relationship has been confirmed. Lin Chong looked at the photos and sneered. This Hua Jingjing has been in love with the same man for over 10 years. Who would have thought she would have a change of heart so quickly? What a slut. Do men deserve to be played with? Isn't it all consensual? The paparazzi did not sense the disgust in Lin Chong's voice. He simply waved his hand. What should we do with these photos then? Although we are working with King, we can't allow ourselves to be led around by him. Since we've captured Hua Jingjing, let's use her to increase our reputation. Sluts like this are meant to be exposed, Lin Chong said in a deep voice. As for Tongning, we will deal with her together with King. Let's wait for a good show. After all, Tongning and Hua Jingjing are best friends. The two sisters sure are dirty together, the paparazzi said unwillingly. Should we extort some money from the cheating couple? Are you stupid? You won't be able to extort anything from anyone. All you will do is attract Mo Ting. The agency had to go into hiding in fear of being discovered by Mo Ting. Jaking even gave them fake identities to avoid attracting Mo Ting's attention. Extort? Wasn't that asking for death? Chapter 316. As Fang Yu and Hu Jingjing returned to the Hilton Hotel, Tongning couldn't help but tease as she saw the couple's fingers intertwined. You can't bear to let go of me as soon as you see me? Hu Jingjing did not feel embarrassed at all. She simply hugged Fang Yu's arm even tighter. I've always been bullied by you and President Mo, so it's only right for us to bully you once. I'm afraid of you. Go and rest. It's already 4 in the morning. We still have to work tomorrow morning. I'll lend you my manager tomorrow. I want Fang Yu. Didn't I bring him here for you to enjoy? Tongning chuckled as she spoke in an ambiguous tone. Hu Jingjing noticed that Fang Yu wasn't used to being judged, so she laughed. In that case, we'll head back to our room. You should get some rest. Okay. Tongning nodded gently. Lin Chong was right next door to Tongning. Without Mo Ting, Fang Yu and even a single staff member by her side, he was sure she wouldn't be able to resist the temptation to go out and look for another man. But, after Fang Yu and Hu Jingjing left, Tongning washed up and lay in bed before giving Mo Ting a phone call. As it was only 10 p.m. in Beijing, Mo Ting was most likely working. Ting. After receiving the phone call, Mo Ting subconsciously looked at the time and furrowed his brows. It's already 4 p.m. in Milan. Why aren't you asleep yet? I was thinking about you. Tongning's voice contained a slight sense of grievance. Just now, I was tortured by Jingjing and Fang Yu. In that case, should I call Fang Yu to come back? Then Jingjing will kill me. Tongning let out a gentle laugh. She did not hide her attachment to Mo Ting at all. When I'm not around, don't work too late. Why are you acting like a child today? No, I just miss you very much. In that case, don't hang up the phone, just put it to one side. Mo Ting said gently. Tongning gently nodded her head. In a daze, she placed her phone by her pillow and slowly closed her eyes. Lin Chong overheard Tongning and Mo Ting talking on the phone from next door. His heart skipped a beat. No, with such a good opportunity, Tongning would definitely go out and find another man. She was definitely not a decent woman. However, that night, apart from hugging her phone, Tongning slept peacefully. However, on this quiet night, a previously unknown studio, Huarong Studio, suddenly released a shocking piece of news. They immediately released the hottest photo of the year. A man and a woman passionately entangled in a dark underground parking lot. Afterwards, someone quickly discovered the identities of the two women. They were the international supermodel Hu Jingjing and the artist-director of Hai Rui, Fang Yu, who had previously been involved in scandals. In fact, if it was just the exposure of a relationship, it wouldn't have caused such a stir. But the problem was the scale of this set of pictures. After kissing in the parking lot, they returned to the car and continued. It gave people a feeling of lust. Afterwards, Huarong Studio quickly dug up Hu Jingjing's past. Just a month or two ago, she was in love with a jerk and was covered in bruises. In the end, in just a short period of time, she was already entangled with the director of Hai Rui. Was Hu Jingjing's diary written for the sake of PR? If you love someone so deeply, how could you throw yourself into another man's arms in less than 2 months? This picture is too lustful. It's as if the car is going to have sex at any moment. Is Fang Yu trying to destroy Hai Rui's image? I must say, Fang Yu's taste is quite heavy. How could he possibly kiss a pair of used shoes? This kind of picture is teaching children the wrong things. Hai Rui was the first to receive news of the incident. Lu Che immediately asked Mo Ting how they should handle the situation. Fang Yu was the artist director and PR director, yet he was the one that was exposed. From now on, how could Hai Rui's PR be convincing? President. Mo Ting looked at the vicious comments online and the sudden rise of Huarong Studio. Although he did not say a word, his eyes were filled with a deadly coldness. First, give Tongning a phone call, and tell her to change the hotel. Then control the media and public opinion. Mo Ting threw his phone aside. I need to find a new artist director. President, what do you mean? Leave this matter for Fang Yu to handle. Mo Ting said as he lifted his head to look at Lu Che. But no matter what the outcome was, Fang Yu was not going to continue as the artist director. What about Huarong Studio? In 10 minutes, I want you to organize Lin Chang's information and place it on my desk, Mo Ting instructed in a deep voice. I will make him regret ever coming to this world. Lu Che looked at Mo Ting with a complicated expression. After all, this matter concerned his good friend. Afterwards, Lu Che turned around and left. However, after taking a few steps, he turned around and said to Mo Ting, Fang Yu actually knows a lot. Mo Ting picked up his phone and looked at Lu Che. Lu Che's heart skipped a beat as he turned around and left. Afterwards, Mo Ting gave Tang Ning a phone call. It seemed, Tang Ning had not received any news from China yet. The main reason was because Long Jia had not accompanied her. I've asked Lu Che to change a hotel for you. Did you know? Why do I need to change a hotel? Tang Ning asked as she got changed. It's not safe. Mo Ting replied. Perhaps he was afraid Tang Ning would overthink, so he added, My flight is tonight. If there's anything you want to discuss, wait until I arrive. At this moment, Tang Ning still didn't understand Mo Ting's words. But she immediately gave Long Jia a phone call. What happened in Beijing? You still don't know? Long Jia was currently in a difficult situation. The media had been ringing her phone nonstop because Tang Ning and Hu Jingjing's relationship was extremely close. Just tell me. I can't say it out loud. Just watch the news. Not long after, Long Jia sent her a link to the news. After hanging up the phone, Tang Ning took a few steps back in disbelief. Tang Ning ignored her work and directly returned to the hotel to look for Hu Jingjing and Fang Yu. At this time, the two women were sitting in their room in silence. Tang Ning, take care of Jingjing. I need to return a phone call. As soon as Fang Yu saw Tang Ning, he immediately pulled her over to Hu Jingjing's side. Tang Ning knew it must be a phone call from Hai Rui, so she pointed to the door with her chin, gesturing for him to hurry. Hu Jingjing was in a daze. After Fang Yu left, she turned around and hugged Tang Ning. She was on the verge of breaking down. What can I do? What can I do to save his reputation? Tang Ning wrapped her arms around Hu Jingjing and said apologetically, I was wrong. What has this got to do with you? We are in a normal relationship. What's wrong with being intimate? Hu Jingjing's cold tears dripped onto Tang Ning's neck. You did nothing wrong. Tang Ning gently patted her on the back comfortingly. Is he going to lose his position as the director of Hai Rui? Tang Ning, I know you have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. As long as you can stop the rumors from hurting Fang Yu, I am willing to give up anything. Chapter 317. You don't need to give up on anything. Tang Ning's eyes suddenly turned red. Hu Jingjing was still the same Hu Jingjing. For the sake of love, she was still willing to give up anything. But I really don't want him to be pointed at. He has already endured enough slander and hurt. After Fang Yu received the phone call, he stood in the doorway and overheard Hu Jingjing's cries. In reality, Hu Jingjing wasn't a woman that liked to cry. She was able to endure 10 years of torture. But for him, for the sake of his reputation, she actually broke down like this. Fang Yu held onto the phone in his hand tightly as he returned to his room and stood in front of Hu Jingjing. Tang Ning knew Fang Yu had something to say, so she stood up, entered the guest room and closed the door behind her. Fang Yu wrapped his arms around Hu Jingjing so she could bury herself in his embrace. After quite some time, he finally comforted. Don't underestimate me, okay? I've been Hai Rui's PR director for 5 years. Did you think I wouldn't be able to handle something as simple as this? Hu Jingjing lifted her head and looked at Fang Yu with teary eyes. Fang Yu's heart felt like it was being stabbed by needles. He leaned over and held her face in his hands as he gently kissed her. Trust me, nothing will happen to us. Really? Even if you don't trust me, you should at least trust President Mo, right? Fang Yu gently rubbed Hu Jingjing's shoulder and smiled comfortingly. However, I really won't be the director of Hai Rue anymore. Then. Because I've been promoted. Feng Yu raised the phone in his hand and gently shook it. President Mo has asked me to step back behind the scenes to train PR staff and do planning. He has also promoted me to vice president of Hai Rue. Hu Jingjing cried and laughed at the same time. Her eyelashes were covered in sparkling tears. However, her face couldn't help but reveal a smile. Is this true? Really? Do you think I'll get candy if I lie to you? Feng Yu patted Hu Jingjing's head in pain. Don't cry, my heart hurts. What should we do from now on? Of course we go back and fight. After speaking, Feng Yu knelt down on the floor and held onto Hu Jingjing's shoulder. However, from now on, we will never be apart again. Even if I have to torture you for the next 10 years, don't even think about leaving me. I won't leave you even if I die. Don't talk about dying or not. We will always be together. Feng Yu stared at Hu Jingjing with a rare look of love in his eyes. Jingjing, did you know? Compared to Tongning's wisdom, you are braver than anyone else. Not everyone can start afresh after enduring 10 years of torture. Hu Jingjing held back her tears, but her chest was suddenly filled with strength, because after her sister died, she was alone and had nothing to rely on. The only thing she had was courage. If Tongning needed it, she would give it to her. If Feng Yu needed it, she would give it to him. But in reality, sometimes a crisis was also an opportunity. It was just a matter of how to use this opportunity. Didn't Tongning always have a good grasp of this line? Since they were best friends, after overhearing their conversation, Tongning immediately gave Mo Ting a phone call. Ting. Postpone my work in Milan. I want to come back and fight alongside them. After hearing Tongning's words, Mo Ting lowered his head and smiled. I've already booked your plane tickets. Whether it was Long Jie and Zihao or Hu Jingjing, as long as they truly wanted Tongning, she would protect them no matter the cost. So he had already guessed that Tongning wouldn't sit idly by. This time we will definitely make Huarong Studio pay the price. Of course. But your flights will be split up because the airport is also their battlefield. However, your flight will arrive half an hour earlier than theirs. I will pick you up near the airport. I will listen to your arrangements. At a time like this, it was a battle between men. A battle between Feng Yu and the media. All she could do was not cause trouble for them. In the end, the three of them decided to return to Beijing together. Tongning knew at a time like this, Hu Jingjing needed a strong backing. From what we know, Hai Rue's director Feng Yu and Hai Rue's model, Hu Jingjing, have already landed in Beijing. However, the autumn/winter fashion week is just around the corner, so Hu Jingjing must be very busy. So from what we can deduce, the two have decided to return to China to deal with the negative effects of their relationship. Since they are openly making their move, it seems they have no intention of running away, and are planning to face the attack head-on. Right now, the airport has already been surrounded by a large number of reporters. As we can see, the exit has already been taken over by the media. As Tongning had arrived earlier than the two and left directly from the tarmac, she had a clear view of the bloodbath outside the airport. She had experienced a scene like this before. The last time she was accused of killing Han Xiner, she managed to escape because she had returned to China early. At this moment it was 1 p.m. in Beijing. Meanwhile, Feng Yu escorted Hu Jingjing out of the terminal. Just as they were about to leave the airport, a group of reporters immediately surrounded them, completely blocking their way. Feng Yu hugged Hu Jingjing tightly. Even though he was being pushed around, he still whispered in her ear, "Hold on tightly to my hand." Seeing the couple's hands intertwined, the reporters immediately asked, "Mr. Feng, can you tell us when the two of you first started dating?" "Mr. Feng, you are a famous PR expert. In that case, was your appearance today also a PR ploy?" Miss Hua has a nickname in the industry, Broken Shoes. I wonder what Mr. Feng thinks about the way people look at you. At first, the media were relatively polite. But as Feng Yu remained silent, their questions became more impatient and sharp. In fact, they even started to attack Hu Jingjing personally. You must be creating hype, right? After all, Hu Jingjing had an abortion 3 times for another man. Mr. Feng, Did Hu Jingjing seduce you first? Did she sacrifice herself for the sake of resources? Right now, the entire internet is calling Hu Jingjing a bitch. Mr. Fang, what do you think about this? Hearing the last few questions, Fang Yu finally stopped in his tracks. Facing the reporters and the black hole of cameras, his expression was unusually firm. I hope that the people that are calling my fiancée a bitch can step out and tell me that she has never broken up with anyone or dumped anyone. That she or he is innocent and has never played around with men or women. That she has never had an abortion for a man, or that no woman has ever had an abortion for him. If she or he can't do it, then all the insults that are directed at my fiancé today are simply insulting themselves. Or perhaps, they are simply jealous that they can't find someone like me that can tolerate my fiancé. To me, a body is just a shell. Even if she is a broken shoe in your eyes, in my eyes, she is still a treasure. Chapter 318. Can you not be so harsh on others? As humans, don't you have times when you've been hurt, abandoned and betrayed? Don't tell me you've never wanted to cling to riches and enjoy the fruits of others' labor? Do you think you can live your entire life with integrity and kindness? If so, then who are the ones that are making things difficult for us? Fang Yu raised his intertwined fingers with Hu Jingjing's and asked in a piercing tone. I'm not married and she's not married. We are a normal couple. May I ask why you have to humiliate a woman like her? If you can't stop your attacks and want to be angry at someone else's private matters, then please direct your anger at me. Don't hurt the person that I treasure. As Fang Yu spoke, Hu Jingjing could only see his side profile. But tears uncontrollably rolled down her cheeks. She wondered if, many years ago, he had also protected his brother in the same way. He was willing to endure the humiliation of his parents just so he could use his tall and sturdy body to protect the person important to him. Afterwards, Fang Yu hid Hu Jingjing behind him and led her out of the encirclement of reporters. No matter how difficult it was, he refused to let the reporters lay a finger on her. In the end, he finally escorted Hu Jingjing into the car that Hai Rui had sent to pick them up. The two of them left the scene surrounded by reporters. The reporters still wanted to chase after them, but after seeing Fang Yu protecting Hu Jingjing, the mature women, especially those with cars, deliberately stopped their cars on the side of the road, so the reporters couldn't follow them any further. If there was still justice left in this world, then please hold on to it until the end. Sometimes, people couldn't understand why the world treated women with so much malice. They couldn't understand why they didn't condemn the reporters that exposed others' private matters. Instead, they surrounded Hu Jingjing and insulted her. What did she do wrong? She simply wanted to pursue her own happiness. Behind them, the shadows of the reporters grew further and further away. However, Fang Yu continued to hold onto Hu Jingjing's hand tightly. Hu Jingjing's tears fell onto Fang Yu's back. They were boiling hot. She knew for the rest of her life, she would never forget this day. The day a man used his sturdy chest to shield her from the gunfire. Do you believe me now? I can protect you. Hu Jingjing nodded her head. Her eyes were red and swollen, but she tried her best to smile. I believe you and I understand what you mean by saving. You and President Mo are both great people. We are not great and our abilities are limited, but in order to protect our women, we can go beyond our limits. After pausing for a moment, Fang Yu continued, countless times. A stream of tears rolled down Hu Jingjing's face as she cried into Fang Yu's arms. Don't worry, I will take care of it. In reality, Mo Ting and Tongning's car was tailing behind them. At the same time, Tongning was relieved that Hu Jingjing had found the right person. So she turned her head and smiled at Mo Ting. The people at Hai Rui are all loyal people. Including Zhen Mani? Mo Ting raised an eyebrow. Apart from her. After answering, Tongning looked out the window in embarrassment. Hubby, did you know? My admiration for you has increased by a few notches. I can tell. Admiration is written all over your face. In that case, what do you plan to do next? Tongning did not forget that although Fang Yu had protected Hu Jingjing like a warrior, the influence of the scandal had not been completely eliminated. Plus, Fang Yu was no longer suitable to be Hai Rui's PR. Fang Yu has his own plans. I will leave this matter in his hands. Mo Ting led Tang Ning straight to Hai Rui. Tang Ning looked at Mo Ting curiously, but did not ask any further. In reality, she wanted to laugh. She wanted to laugh on behalf of Hu Jingjing. On behalf of a woman that had been hurt but still yearned for happiness. Because Fang Yu's existence proved that there were still many beautiful relationships in this world that were worth waiting for. Not long after, the couple arrived downstairs at Hai Rui. Inside Hai Rui's meeting room, Fang Yu was ready to record a video. He held on to Hu Jingjing the entire time. After changing into a black suit from his office, he entered the meeting room and instructed the relevant personnel to record the video. What are you planning to do? Hu Jingjing asked confusedly. Fang Yu gestured for her to be quiet. He then looked into the camera and gestured for the cameraman to begin. Hello everyone, I am Fang Yu. I have been the PR director for Hai Rui for 5 years. This will probably be the last time I do PR for Hai Rui. I can't believe I ended up on the hottest news because of myself. I only have 3 things to say. Firstly, Hu Jingjing is my beloved fiancé, not the broken shoes that you guys are talking about. In fact, she has never been. We are a legitimate couple, and will be getting married soon. Secondly, I would like to apologize for the negative impact we have caused on the public. I am sorry that we did not control ourselves in public. But my privacy has also been violated. I hope Huarong Studio will step out and apologize to me. Thirdly, for the sake of Hai Rui's image and reputation, I will be resigning from my position as the artist director and PR director. I will be stepping back behind the scenes. I only have one motive for doing this. I want to admit my mistakes and pay the price. So Huarong Studio, if you have the guts, don't be cowards. Violating other people's privacy and harming other people's interests is not morally superior. What he meant was, the people that acknowledged Huarong Studio didn't have good morals, and should be sent back to the pits to be remade. Fang Yu was placing the highest moral hat on everyone's head. After hearing Fang Yu's video, Hai Rui's colleagues felt bad. President Fang, do you really want to resign? This video. Release it. Fang Yu replied straightforwardly. But if you release it, there's no way to redeem it. Release it. Fang Yu said firmly before returning to Hu Jingjing's side. The colleagues had no choice but to listen to him and release the video on Hai Rui's official website. In a short period of time, Fang Yu's video broke through the millions of views. Fang Yu's magnanimity, his straightforwardness, his domineering protection of Hu Jingjing and the fact that Fang Yu directly hung up on Huarong Studio. All of these little things made people feel like he had a clear conscience. I must say, I give Fang Yu's PR 100 points. After being exposed, he immediately returned to China to face the truth, and admitted to it without hiding anything. Plus, this video is filled with anger. I'm going to become a fan of him. Oh, I love this type of man that admits to his mistakes. How interesting. Domineering. That's what you should ask those paparazzi that hide in the corner to spy on others. What is there to be proud of? WTF Huarong Studio, don't be a coward. After all, didn't you feel good when you were exposed? Chapter 319. Logically speaking, when an indecent photo was exposed, the ones that were hurt were the couple in the photo, especially the woman. But when it came to Fang Yu, he completely shifted the attention to the fact that the paparazzi had invaded his privacy. Without any hesitation, he stepped out and made a public apology. Since he had already apologized and used his resignation as punishment for not controlling his feelings, what about Huarong Studio, who had also invaded his privacy? This was how humans behaved. Since both parties were in the wrong, and one party had already apologized, the other party would naturally become the focus of criticism. This was where Fang Yu was smart. If you wanted to expose it, you exposed it. If you said I was wrong, I apologized. But what about your fault? Not only this, the other artists at Hai Rui, whether they were actors or singers, did not respond to Fang Yu's incident, but they all expressed their attitudes towards the paparazzi. In one word, they hated them. Not too long ago, A paparazzi even took a photo of an artist bathing and asked them to have sex with him. A few days ago, a paparazzi broke into a female artist's home and revealed that she had a disabled father. As a result, the artist committed suicide by jumping off a building. With the celebrity's common hatred towards a common enemy, it created a huge influence amongst the fans. In an instant, the evil deeds of the paparazzi were compiled into a compilation by the mainstream media. The most eye-catching part was Huarong Studios' report on Fang Yu and Hu Jingjing. This was because they were currently very popular. To be honest, celebrities are just ordinary people. So what if they couldn't help but kiss each other? My husband and I often kiss on the streets. Actually, Hu Jingjing is quite pitiful. If she met a man like Fang Yu, even I would be moved. So I can understand her. Above all, they are both unmarried. Why can't they kiss? Huarong Studio, come out and apologize. To be honest, the paparazzi is the most disgusting profession. I hope the netizens will expose this studio. With this request from the netizens, Mo Ting decided to hand over Lin Chong's information to Fang Yu. Afterwards, a kind netizen appeared online and exposed that Huarong Studios' editor was Lin Chong. As long as one's name was exposed, the omnipotent netizens would be able to provide the most comprehensive information. Not long after, Lin Chong's 3 marriages and 3 divorces, as well as his psychological barrier towards women, were all published online. This Chong Lin is a monster. He even suspects his wife when she goes to the bathroom to make a phone call. God. This kind of pervert should be locked up in a mental hospital as soon as possible. I'm really afraid that there will be more people who will be deceived in the future. If I was targeted by such a psychopath, I would want to die. If I was Fang Yu, I would kill this crazy person. As a result, Huarong Studio originally wanted to expose Fang Yu and Hu Jingjing's relationship, but in the end, Fang Yu successfully shifted the blame onto Lin Chong. Everyone's focus was now on Lin Chong. That afternoon, Hai Rui released an official statement to prove that Fang Yu's character was flawless. He was honest, kind and capable. So the higher-ups of Hai Rui unanimously decided to promote Fang Yu to vice president of Hai Rui. They hoped to retain his talent, so he could continue to serve Hai Rui. Not only was Mo Ting unwilling to let Fang Yu go, it was also because Fang Yu was trusted and respected by the other artists. Plus, his PR skills were second to none in the entertainment industry. So Lin Chong wanted to frame Hu Jingjing and Fang Yu, but he ended up backfiring. Not only did he land himself in a difficult situation, he also pushed Fang Yu and helped him get a promotion. At home, Hu Jingjing was playing with little Yu Er when she saw the news. Seeing Hu Jingjing cry, little Yu Er immediately stretched out her soft hands and placed them on Hu Jingjing's cheeks, wiping them away. Don't cry, it doesn't hurt. Little Yu Er even placed her soft body in Hu Jingjing's embrace and blew at her blurry eyes. Hu Jingjing suddenly laughed as she hugged Fang Yu tightly in her arms. Precious, you are indeed Mom and Dad's little quilted jacket. Of course, this mom was a title she gave herself. When Yu Xinwen stabbed her in the back, she had already died once. At that time, Tongning was the one who saved her heart. However, this time, she finally felt like she had been reborn. From today onwards, she and Fang Yu no longer had to endure others pointing fingers at them, because they could live in the open. The situation had completely turned around. Meanwhile, Huarong Studio was in a state of chaos due to Lin Chong's information being exposed. A few of the staff were afraid of being implicated, so they directly fled overseas and could no longer be contacted. In an instant, all that was left by Lin Chong's side was Charlene and his unfortunate relative. Charlene looked at Lin Chong, who had locked himself in his office and refused to come out. She sneered as she said through the door, "You were working well with J-King, yet you insisted on digging your own grave. Although J-King may have suffered a tragic fate, at least you could have earned a lot of money. You wouldn't have ended up like you are now, being yelled at by everyone. Who's not easy to deal with? Go deal with Fang Yu. If the artist isn't easy to deal with, go deal with the PR director." Editor Lin, I really want to know what's in your head. After mocking Lin Chong, Charlene picked up her things and said one last thing. From what happened to you, I've seen a cruel truth. People like us will never be able to shake Mo Ting's position. As long as he wants to protect someone, no matter how bad the situation, he will always be able to turn defeat into victory. Now you can go play on your own. A good card has been turned into a dead end by you. Lin Chong sat dispiritedly in his office. It was already a complete mess. It didn't take long before the studio was completely empty. All that remained was Lin Chong crying and laughing like a patient. Not long after, a few men holding metal bars stormed into the office. Not only did they smash the studio to pieces, they also dragged Lin Chong to a corner and gave him a beating. Jaking told me to tell you not to let him see you in Beijing from now on. You're a useless idiot, the man yelled before he kicked Lin Chong in the stomach a few times. Why was Jaking so agitated? It was because Hai Rui's vice president had been transferred. This was originally his best opportunity to enter the company. With the help of his father and the other shareholders, he was bound to be promoted to vice president. But because of Lin Chong's interference, Fang Yu was now the vice president. The shareholders were well aware of Fang Yu's importance to Hai Rui. So as soon as Mo Ting mentioned it, the shareholders had no objections. Plus, he didn't know if there would be another opportunity. But did this mean Lin Chong was doomed? Chapter 320. For 2 whole days, Chong Lin hid in a dark corner like a mouse, not daring to treat his wounds and not being able to cure his illnesses. After Fang Yu's incident broke out, the entire journalistic and paparazzi industry was affected. Right now, not only did he have to hide from Jaking, Hai Rui, fans and artists, he also had to hide from the industry. Because of him, their lives had become even more difficult. Someone was bored, so they posted a photo of Lin Chong hiding online. After Long Jia saw it, she smiled and handed it to Tongning. Look at what happened to this piece of trash. Tongning received the phone and glanced at it calmly. She then said to Long Jia, find someone to send him some money under my and Jingjing's name. Tongning. Long Jia didn't understand Tongning's actions. Not only did she not find someone to beat the jerk to death, why did she have to give him money? Don't you think it would be more painful for him to receive charity from his enemy? Compared to physical pain, killing the heart is the way to completely extinguish a hatred. Tongning lowered her head. She did not feel sorry for Lin Chong at all because he was a capable person. Long Jia thought carefully for a moment. Thinking back to the time she was humiliated and forced to kneel, she felt like dying. She suddenly understood Tongning's actions. You're awesome. So one night, a man wearing a cap entered Chong Lin's office. He left some clean clothes, some food, medicine, and a business card beside him. Chong Lin was half dead when he saw these things. He didn't care about anything else. All he could see was the clothes and the name card. No one would care about your dignity when you were in dire straits. Seeing this, the guilt and anger in Chong Lin's heart were like 2 hemp ropes twisting together, making him feel completely ashamed. That night, Chong Lin stared at the clothes for a long time. When it was almost dawn, he found his phone in the dark and dialed the number on the business card. Hello. I'm Chong Lin. I didn't expect you to really call me. Come to our studio. We need a decent photographer. The younger generation these days are not good enough. Although we can't make a lot of money as paparazzi, we don't have to worry about food and clothing. How about it? Are you coming? The other party's attitude was very kind. It could even be said to be a warm invitation. I want to ask who is helping me behind the scenes. You really shouldn't ask about this. With your current situation, no one would dare to want you, so don't think about it. You have to live. Chong Lin looked down at the clean clothes on the ground and finally nodded. I'll do it. All right, just follow the address on the business card. After settling everything, Long Jia looked at Tongning excitedly. If this jerk finds out that his biggest enemy is helping him from behind the scenes, he will definitely smash his head against the wall. Tongning chuckled and did not say anything. She continued to take care of the flowers and plants in the house. Only then did Long Jia become curious. The autumn/winter fashion week is about to start. Has President Mo made any arrangements? Jingjing is getting married. She needs to attend the wedding before leaving, Tongning said casually. So fast? Don't tell me we don't need to prepare? We are flying to Bali. We are only inviting Hai Rue's artists and a few good friends. There shouldn't be much to prepare. Tongning put down the scissors in her hands. Although her head was lowered, her words carried a deeper meaning. The wedding doesn't need to be extravagant. It simply needs to make people feel like they put their heart into it. According to Jingjing's feelings for Fang Yu, even if she doesn't get anything, she will still be willing. Fang Yu is really cool this time. Long Jie sighed. Will you and boss attend? Of course. Most importantly, Tongning planned to use Chong Lin as the photographer for the wedding. She wanted him to open his eyes wide and see how the woman he hated found happiness. Because of the exposure, Fang Yu and Fang Yu's wedding became a matter of course. From the day Fang Yu returned home, the first thing he did was kneel down and hug Hu Jingjing and Fang Yu. He then simply said, "Let's get married so Xiao Yu can have a complete family." Hu Jingjing froze in his arms for a few seconds. However, Fang Yu's gaze remained gentle and patient. It wasn't until she had hesitated for a long time that Fang Yu finally called out, "Jingjing?" "Huh." I said, "Hold the wedding." Hu Jingjing extricated herself from Fang Yu's arms and covered her face as she returned to her room without a word. After calming down for quite some time, she finally returned to the living room and gave her man a simple answer. "Okay." She then handed him the guest list. Tongning. Fang Yu received the guest list and patted Tongning's neck lovingly. He then pulled her into his arms once again. It was from that night onwards that Fang Yu quickly decided on the guest list and the location of the wedding. That night, the couple discussed everything and decided on everything. The next day, Fang Yu put everything into practice. As for the wedding, it was to be held half a month later at a holiday resort in Bali. Afterwards, news of the couple's wedding was revealed. While the netizens gave their blessings, they also ridiculed Fang Yu for being a man of action. At the same time, those that didn't have high hopes for the couple were slapped in the face by the announcement of their marriage. In reality, Fang Yu's sincerity had given the couple a sense of transcendence. Because, apart from a few negatives, the public couldn't come up with anything new. In fact, as the negatives persisted, all they could do was give them their blessings. Netizens expressed their anticipation for the wedding. Of course, there was another reason. As Hu Jingjing's good friends and the CEO of Hai Rue, Tongning and Mo Ting would definitely be attending. In reality, while Tongning was waiting for Hu Jingjing's wedding, she was also constantly traveling between Milan and Beijing. Meanwhile, Mo Ting accompanied her through interviews, securing jobs and securing important brands. Of course, during this time, Yu Shanshan's scenes on the set of Stupid were nearing their end. Her scenes would end around the time of Hu Jingjing's wedding. Tongning had already contacted Director Koch multiple times in private to find out how Yu Shanshan was doing. But Director Koch's response was always, "She's doing very well." Yu Shanshan's acting was top-notch. There wasn't much to say about this. But the person backing her up, especially after Lin Chong ruined his plans and Fang Yu stole his deputy CEO position, couldn't hold back any longer and began to stir. He immediately gave Yu Shanshan a phone call. "It's time to start preparing. Let Tongning attend her best friend's wedding and let her be happy for the last time." Chapter 321. 2 days before Fang Hu's wedding, Hu Jingjing invited Tongning out for dinner. Originally, they didn't want to bring any family members and spend some alone time with their sister. But Fang Yu seriously doubted Hu Jingjing's ability to avoid the paparazzi, so he instinctively followed behind her. From the top floor of a 5-star hotel, one could see thousands of stars and the outdoor night view. Tongning and Mo Ting arrived first, but Mo Ting went to the bathroom first. Afterwards, Hu Jingjing walked in front with a radiant smile on her face. She was dressed in a black windbreaker. Probably because the wedding was around the corner, her face without any makeup had a slight blush on it. From the moment she appeared, it did not dissipate. Meanwhile, Fang Yu followed behind her. He looked like he was protecting his wife. It was quite comical. "Where's President Mo? Did you come by yourself?" Tongning glared at Hu Jingjing and replied, I'm in the bathroom. Did you think I'd give you the chance to torture me? Hua Jingjing let out a gentle laugh as she sat down on the chair that Fang Yu had pulled out for her. As Tongning looked at the couple sitting side by side, she could see the anticipation and yearning for marriage on their faces. Their entire bodies were filled with happiness. Bride-to-be, are you happy? Hua Jingjing's cheeks flushed red as she looked down at her interlocked hands with Fang Yu's. The diamond wedding ring was already on her fingers. It was like a symbol of the dazzling love between the couple. Hua Jingjing's eyes turned red as she replied in a choked-up voice. I'm happy. As long as you're happy. Tongning patted the back of Hua Jingjing's hand. Her eyes were also red. Only they knew in this industry, especially in such a dirty environment, how difficult it was to find true love. Why is your hand so cold? Hua Jingjing felt the warmth of Tongning's hand and reached out to warm it up. However, Emoting grabbed onto her hand and held it in his warm palm. Hua Jingjing was stunned for a few seconds. She suddenly felt like she was overthinking things. Emoting remained expressionless as he held onto Tongning's hand and sat down on the empty seat. Of course, Fang Yu was already used to it. But Hua Jingjing still felt a little pressured. It was like she was sitting at the same table as an ancient emperor. How could she not be nervous? Afterwards, Emoting instructed the waiter to bring over a blanket. After placing it on Tongning's body, he finally relaxed. When Hua Jingjing saw this, she couldn't help but sigh. He's really meticulous. It can't be helped. Who asked me to cultivate 10 lifetimes worth of good fortune? Tongning was not stingy with her compliments. Like Hua Jingjing and Fang Yu, her fingers were intertwined. Seeing this, Hua Jingjing couldn't help but lean in and whisper into Tongning's ear. Why don't we go to the booth next door without the men? I want to release a sky lantern. Tongning glanced at the man beside her and nodded her head. You're the boss today. Then, the two men were abandoned by their respective women. They sat where they were without a word, and could only turn around to look at their respective women. Although she was a supermodel, when it came to something like releasing sky lanterns, Hua Jingjing couldn't do it on her own like Tongning. So in the end, she had no choice but to turn to her man for help, Fang Yu. Fang Yu had no choice but to stand up and walk over to the two women. Of course, Emoting couldn't just sit there and do nothing. Seeing Tongning's calm expression, he couldn't help but approach her and ask, What did you wish for? Tongning turned around and wrapped her arms around Emoting's waist as she smiled sweetly. For the country to prosper and the people to live in peace, for the world to be at peace, for Tongning and Emoting to never be apart. The two pairs of lovers stood under the night sky, as they personally delivered their wishes to the heavens. Not long after, Emoting turned around and suddenly pulled Tongning into his embrace as they passionately kissed. Perhaps years from now, Tongning would recall the sweetness of this day. She would think of the beautiful reunion between the four of them, and the shy expression on Hua Jingjing's face, as she waited to get married. Because from this moment onwards, the gears of her fate would once again undergo a shocking reversal. The next day, Fang Yu and Emoting flew to Bali to prepare for their wedding. Meanwhile, Tongning and Emoting's flight was scheduled for 6 p.m. The wedding wasn't a grand one, but because of Fang Yu's generosity, the media also made their way to the venue. However, Fang Yu only had one request. He wanted the media to follow the wedding procedures and not interfere with his wedding for the sake of writing news. The media laughed. For a PR person like Fang Yu, who dealt with the media all year round, to be so understanding towards the media, they were truly flattered. Fang Yu's attitude was a direct representation of Emoting's attitude. Meanwhile, the staff responsible for the wedding's photography, wardrobe and makeup all rushed to Bali. It was at this time that Lin Chong found out his job was to follow Hua Jingjing. In fact, he was to follow the entire wedding. Most importantly, he was already on the island and had no way out. Lin Chong, I know you had a grudge with Hua Jingjing in the past, but Hua Jingjing isn't a bad person. She even agreed to let you follow her. Look at how good you are now. You no longer have to hide and you can capture even better photos. Isn't that better? The manager of the studio asked. Lin Chong was silent for a few seconds before he asked back, Will Emoting and Tongning be here too? Of course, they already know about your situation. Lin Chong suddenly realized something as he turned around with a serious expression. Although over 10 days had passed, the injuries on his face had not faded and he looked quite fierce. Did Hai Rui help me? Was it Mo Ting? The manager patted Lin Chong on the back and nodded his head. To be more specific, it was Tongning and Hu Jingjing. When you were being despised by the entire world, it was they who disregarded past grudges and gave you a set of clothes, a decent job and most importantly, protected your dignity. Think about it carefully. Are you going to continue to misunderstand them? I can't deny that there are a lot of artists in the entertainment industry that rely on fame and fortune, but Tongning and Hu Jingjing are definitely not one of them. Chong Lin felt like the supervisor's words were like a slap to his face. He felt so ashamed that he wanted to crawl into a hole to hide himself. Of course, if you want to leave, I won't force you. Tongning. Lin Chong couldn't help but repeat this name in his heart. The woman he once swore to capture a photo of, the woman he thought of every way he could to slander, had given him dignity and a way out. This was perhaps the best part about Tongning. So if Mo Ting wasn't hers, then who could he be? How could he possibly hate a woman like this? He confidently told himself, at this moment, he only felt admiration towards Tongning. So he picked up his camera and said in a firm and unquestionable tone, "I'll film." That's right. After getting to know her for a while, you will realize that Tongning is a loyal person. But did she and Mo Ting know that Jay King was planning to take over Hai Rui? Chapter 322. Kayamani's Nusa Dua, Bali. This was the place where Fong Yu and Hu Jingjing's beach wedding ceremony would be held, followed by a warm and romantic candlelit dinner. As dusk fell, Hai Rui's artists and the media rushed to the venue. As the media would receive a thoughtful gift upon entering, the media did not report too much on the welcoming ceremony. They simply took appropriate photos so the guests could relax. In reality, the reason why the media were so obedient was because they had to sign a confidentiality agreement before entering the venue. If they wanted to be exclusive, if they wanted to enter the venue and if they wanted to know what others didn't know, then they had to follow Fong Yu's arrangements. Of course, the gift that Fong Yu sent out was extremely generous. As a result, the reporters were all grinning from ear to ear. As night fell, the sound of a violin drifted through the tropical hotel. A tropical forest-like outdoor venue was filled with all the top celebrities. Fong Yu was dressed in a silver handmade suit with a rose pinned to his chest. He held onto the hand of Hu Jingjing, who was dressed in a white lace dress. The two looked like they were made in heaven. They were a perfect couple. They continued to greet the guests. However, they had not arrived yet. Hey, since President Mo hasn't arrived yet, I have a suggestion. Let's get the groom to tell us when he first fell in love with our bride. Let's lighten the mood, okay? A playful artist chased after the groom and asked loudly. The venue suddenly erupted in a round of applause and whistles. The couple stood on the steps as Hu Jingjing hid in Fong Yu's arms embarrassedly. A moment later, Fong Yu laughed. My wife is shy. That's her problem. You go ahead and tell us, the guests replied. Fong Yu lowered his head to look at Hu Jingjing and continued to resist. Such an important matter. Of course I have to tell my wife first. How could I let you guys take advantage of me? Sister-in-law, if you hide from me today you won't be a good friend. Hu Jingjing's face turned red. In the end, she squeezed out of Fong Yu's arms and said, Go ahead. I also want to know. Haha, sister-in-law has already agreed. Quick, Vice President Fong, tell us. Fong Yu sighed and accepted his fate. Fine. Afterwards he took the microphone from the MC and said to the guests, Actually, she joined Hai Rui earlier than I did. In fact, she is considered my senior. I remember the first time I saw her. From the look in her eyes, I had a feeling there was definitely a story behind this woman. Actually, the time she really moved my heart was when she was injured and hospitalized. At that time, she was in despair, and I suddenly felt very anxious. I didn't know how to help her. I always thought it was friendship. But it wasn't until later, when she beat someone up for Tongning and offended a high-ranking official, that I realized I didn't have to do so much for her. But I couldn't control my body and mind. I know that many people still think that she's a broken shoe and that she's not worthy of me. But today, I want to say something from the bottom of my heart. Actually, what I admire the most about her is that she has endless courage. No matter how much she has been hurt, she can still stand up for her friends. No matter how much pain she has suffered, she can still use the same strength to start over again. I feel that such a person has light on him. Even if I'm experiencing darkness when I see her, I feel like I have a direction. That's why I want to protect her and protect my light. Hearing these words, everyone present was moved. Some of the more emotional female celebrities even began to wipe away their tears. Perhaps, only they could understand the bitterness of this industry. Meanwhile, Hu Jingjing, who was lying in Fang Yu's arms, almost cried her eyes out. Lin Chong was wearing a baseball cap and disguised as a staff member standing not too far away. After listening to Fang Yu's words, she didn't know if it was because of the environment, but her heart was moved. Well said. How touching. Everyone stood up. At this time, someone with sharp eyes finally spotted Tang Ning and Mo Ting walking towards the outdoor venue. Oh God, boss is here. President Mo. Mo Ting was dressed in a retro black custom-made suit with a dark red scarf around his neck. He looked like a noble that had just stepped out of the British royal family. His entire body exuded a powerful aura. As for Tang Ning, who was hooked onto his arm, she was wearing a light blue A-line dress. Her heaven-defying legs were breathtaking. Boss, Tang Ning. Mo Ting originally wanted to walk towards Fang Yu, but when he saw where the two were sitting, he raised an eyebrow and stopped. Instead, he led Tang Ning over to the guest seats. President Mo. Fang Yu says he wants to be more handsome than you tomorrow. Someone joked. Mo Ting sat down with Tang Ning and replied calmly. In Hu Jingjing's eyes, you already are. But in the eyes of others, I'm afraid you still have a long way to go. Everyone burst into laughter. Of course, from Mo Ting's response, it was obvious he was in a good mood. President Mo. When will you and Tang Ning have a match? Bali is so beautiful. We want to come here often. That's right. Mo Ting tilted his head and looked at Tang Ning, but she simply smiled without saying a word. So Mo Ting had no choice but to reply. From next month onwards, I won't pay you any more. After I save up enough, I'll buy you a villa in Bali. President Mo, how could you be like this? Everyone burst into laughter again. Because of Mo Ting and Tang Ning's arrival, the atmosphere reached its climax. Meanwhile, not too far away, Lin Chong was watching them from behind the camera. Especially Tang Ning, the woman that he once hated. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't bring himself to hate her anymore. Tang Ning. Does President Mo also have a fake smile like this at home? Someone was even braver as they teased the couple, causing Mo Ting to turn around. Of course, since she was asked, Tang Ning had no choice but to reply. If you can outdrink him in drinking, then I'll tell you what he's like at home. Ooft, who doesn't know President Mo can't get drunk? Mo Ting pinched the back of Tang Ning's hand. Are you doing this on purpose? If I really drink too much, you're going to suffer tonight. How suffer? Tang Ning had never seen Mo Ting drunk before. Okay, since you want to see, then I'll show you when I'm drunk. Mo Ting said with a mysterious smile. Tang Ning nodded her head. She refused to believe that Mo Ting would throw a tantrum when he was drunk. He was the type of person that would behave himself even when he was drunk. But that wasn't the case. On top of that, while Bali was celebrating their wedding, Jaking was busy preparing for his rebellion. Chapter 323. The reception continued until 12 p.m. As Tang Ning helped Mo Ting back to his room, his eyes were tightly shut and he did not say a word. Of course, his face did not turn red nor did he act like he was drunk. This was exactly what Tang Ning had expected. No matter how much Mo Ting drank, he would never lose his composure. Tang Ning placed Mo Ting on the bed. Just as she was about to run a bath for him, Mo Ting suddenly grabbed onto her arm and pulled her into his embrace. You reek of alcohol. Let's have a bath first. Mo Ting slowly opened his eyes and looked into Tong Ning's. Didn't you say you wanted to see me drunk? How are you drunk? Tong Ning punched him on the chest. By the way, how did you manage to hold your liquor so well? A whole group of people have been knocked out by you. Because I can't get drunk, Mo Ting replied in seriousness. The words can't get drunk suddenly made Tong Ning feel Mo Ting's bitterness. Once upon a time, Mo Ting also needed to drink and discuss a collaboration. If he couldn't stay sober, Tong Ning didn't dare to think about it. Have a bath. But you can pretend I'm drunk. Mo Ting spread out his arms and legs like he was ready to let her do whatever she wanted. I still want you to be sober, hug me and tell me stories. But I want to do something else. After speaking, Mo Ting sat up in bed and lifted Tong Ning in his arms. Since the alcohol has boosted our mood, let's not waste such a great room in Bali. The next day, Hu Jingjing and Feng Yu's wedding was held. As neither of them had any elders, everything was simple. In other words, Tong Ning was Hu Jingjing's only relative. Xiao Yu became the flower girl. Of course, her identity was not revealed to the public. It had nothing to do with the bravery of the adults. She simply didn't want her child to receive attention at such a young age. Inside the bridal room, Hu Jingjing was already dressed in a strapless white dress. As she didn't like fluffy designs, the bottom of her dress was pleated and dragged on the floor. What do you think? Hu Jingjing asked as she stood in front of the mirror. Very beautiful. Are you envious? Hu Jingjing twirled her skirt as a smile appeared on her face. Tong Ning did not respond to her question. Instead, she took the veil from the stylist and helped Hu Jingjing put it on. From now on, you are a part of the family. Don't ever get into a fight or offend a high-ranking official because of me. Hu Jingjing cried through the veil. I will be very happy. Of course. Tong Ning also wiped away her tears. Soon there was a knock on the door. They were probably here to pick up the bride. As there were no parents or elders, the couple went straight to the beach for the wedding. Hu Jingjing didn't even have a bridesmaid. Not long after, the door swung open and Feng Yu, dressed in a light gray suit, walked over to Hu Jingjing with a bouquet of pink and white roses in his hand and knelt down on one knee. We're married. Hu Jingjing took the rose from Feng Yu's hands and pulled him to his feet. The couple quietly hugged each other like there was no one else in the world. The wedding ceremony was simple, but it didn't mean Feng Yu didn't value Hu Jingjing. The earrings and necklace were from the Tiffany Victoria collection. They were hexagonal-shaped like snowflakes and were inlaid with white diamonds. The wedding dress was custom-made by TH and was worth millions of dollars. It was one of the best collection pieces in the world. The shoes were silver bowtie heels from René Chauvilla. Rumor had it that this was a brand frequented by the British royal family. It seemed he placed all his focus on his bride. Everyone could feel how much he valued Hu Jingjing. At the beach wedding venue, the door of happiness was decorated with fresh flowers. It stood on the edge of the ocean and blended into the world. The meandering road to happiness was paved with pink rose petals. Under the gaze of the guests, Hu Jingjing was escorted to Feng Yu by an elder from Hai Rui in place of her father. Seeing this, Tong Ning lowered her head and said to Mo Ting, if Jingjing's parents were still here, they would be very happy, right? If they were your parents, would they be happy? Mo Ting asked. Tong Ning froze, but Mo Ting held onto her shoulder tightly. I shouldn't have mentioned it. Tong Ning shook her head in relief. The wedding continued under the blessings of everyone. At this time, a blogger called Candy released a blog post that trampled on Yu Shanshan. She used all sorts of insults towards women and tried her best to humiliate Yu Shanshan. As soon as the post was released, the netizens discovered that the majority of her posts were filled with praise for Tong Ning. She was an undisguised Tang fan. As soon as the post was released, the Yu fans were provoked and immediately attacked the Tang fans. How could the modeling industry be mentioned in the same breath as the film and television industry? Yu Shanshan's fans quickly drowned out Tong Ning's fans. Who does Tong Ning think she is? How dare her fans be so arrogant? If Hai Rui doesn't apologize to our Shanshan, we will not let this matter go. Even though the Tang fans quickly explained that the account had been hacked and the Tang fans did not accept any provocation, the Yu fans did not let it go. Instead, they started a discussion online demanding that Tongning apologize. At first, the incident was just a fight between fans. But it quickly escalated. Tongning's fans and the Yu fans had a fight, and the Yu fan ended up in the hospital. This incident caused a huge uproar in the entertainment industry. Once a fan violence like this took place, it would undoubtedly become a huge black mark on an artist. Especially since Tongning had always been easy to hate. At this time, Wuxia was at Hyrule. As soon as he realized the incident was spreading like wildfire, he immediately gave Mo Ting a phone call and activated a PR plan. President, something's happened, Wuxia said worriedly. Yu Shanshan just gave Hyrule a phone call through the production crew saying that she wants to stop filming. However, her scenes are about to be completed. Mo Ting's eyes darkened as he opened the news. Tongning noticed something was wrong with Mo Ting's expression. She wanted to ask him about it, but Mo Ting gestured for her to continue watching the ceremony while he made a phone call. Lin Chong, who had been working in the dark, saw Mo Ting stand up on his own and his expression changed. Not long after, he saw Tongning also stand up and look for Mo Ting in a quiet corner. Is there something urgent? No. Mo Ting replied. I will handle it. Tongning didn't believe him. So, she pulled out her phone and looked at the hot news. Without caring about herself, she asked Mo Ting. Yu Shanshan wants to stop filming? What about the film? You idiot. At a time like this, shouldn't you be thinking about yourself? Mo Ting had no idea what to do with her. Yu Shanshan hasn't stopped yet, has she? Tongning asked. In that case, there's no need to go easy on her. She's already been given a chance. I'll return to China to deal with it. You go back to the wedding. I'll go with you. Tongning did not show any anger from being slandered. She was well aware that the other party was targeting Mo Ting. They wanted to steal power from Mo Ting. Steal power. Chapter 324. Just as the couple were about to say goodbye to Fang Yu and Mo Ting, Tongning spotted Lin Chong not too far away. Their eyes met, but Tongning did not say a word. She simply held hands with Mo Ting and left. Lin Chong already knew what was happening in Beijing. He knew deep down that Jie King had already made his move. Compared to his previous small-scale actions, Jie King obviously wanted to ruin Tongning's reputation. Of course, if it wasn't serious, would it have caused Mo Ting and the higher-ups of Hyrule to go against each other? Yu Shanshan refused to perform because her fans were beaten up. She wanted Hyrule and Tongning to show their attitude. She wanted to seek justice for the fans who were hospitalized. Chong Lin didn't know why, but when he saw these announcements, he felt like laughing. He wanted to laugh at how shameful he was in the past, and at how despicable Jie King was. After all, Jie King was a man who wanted to usurp power. He had to admit defeat when it came to self-scripting and self-directing. In the end, he put down the camera and asked someone to hand Tongning a note. Afterwards, he booked a plane ticket back to Beijing. Before Tongning left, she received a note from the staff. There was only one sentence on it. The person who tried to seize power is Jie King. His father is Hyrue's chairman Zeng. Tongning handed the note to Mo Ting and looked around. Lin Chong was nowhere to be found. Since he was a paparazzi, he had to display his strengths. However, this time he did not do it to defame Tongning. Instead, he made a decision that surprised even himself. He wanted to give Tongning justice. It turned out that it was so easy to defame a person, but it was so difficult to clear a person's name. However, it was more challenging to save someone than to defame them. When Mo Ting saw this name, he did not find it strange. After all, it was one of the suspects he had drawn out. Did he want Hyrule? She sure had guts, but it was still within Mo Ting's tolerance. What was truly intolerable was pushing Tongning onto the stage. After the couple returned to Beijing, Mo Ting immediately returned to Hyrule. As soon as Wuxia saw Mo Ting, he immediately said, I can't get in touch with Yu Shanshan. It seems she has no intention of contacting us. She wants Hyrule to show their attitude and apologize. The fans are currently causing quite a ruckus. Moreover, the injured fan won't accept a settlement at all. It looks like he's going to court. President. All right. Mo Ting entered the office and said to Lu Che, contact Star Art Factory. Make sure you contact Yu Shanshan. Afterwards, give Director Tsung a phone call and tell him to come to my office. President, this matter has hurt Madam too much. I know. At this point, no matter what Hai Rui did, the anti-fans would definitely be blamed on Tongning. And no matter what Tongning did, the Yu fans would definitely be disgusted. Originally, this incident had nothing to do with Tongning. But when it came to the actions of a fan, their idol had to pay for it. So this time Tongning's fake fans completely destroyed the image that Tongning had worked so hard to build. The modeling industry versus the film and television industry? It seemed that no matter how they competed, they would always lose. As soon as Tongning returned home, the first thing she did was contact Long Jie. She even used Long Jie's account to log into the official fan club. She did not say a word, but she quickly retrieved information from her phone. She found out that the account that started the fight had indeed been hacked, and the fan that started the fight was claiming to be Tongning's fan. But there was no proof of that. This self-scripted and self-directed act couldn't be any more obvious. At this point, the most important thing was that the filming of Stupid had been interrupted. In order to protect her fans, Yu Shanshan risked breaching her contract to get justice for Hai Rui. As a result, she gained the best reputation online. On the other hand, Hai Rui and Tongning were completely slandered by her. Everyone, don't be afraid and don't try to tear them apart. If the officials have any evidence, then post it. Are you Tongning? This tone, is that Tongning? It's Tongning, that's right. The fans were extremely excited. But unlike last time, this time, all Tongning had to do was signal for them to calm down. You have all suffered because of this incident. But I hope everyone can stay out of it. Don't get hurt because of me. Tongning, we have all been wronged. You need to believe us. A fan left her an emotional message. I believe you, but you need to believe me too. Okay. As long as you say it, we will believe you. The fans all expressed that they wouldn't participate in the scolding and fighting. If they had the time, they would donate money, care about national affairs and help those in need. Not only did they say it, they also did it. They turned what was originally a scolding battle into a charity event. They believed one day, their actions today would become the fiercest slap in the face and wake up to those that misunderstood them. 7 p.m. Star Art finally relented under the pressure of Hai Rui. Lu Che finally got in touch with Yu Shanshan and successfully transferred her to Mo Ting's office. However, after picking up the phone, Mo Ting did not say a word for quite some time. It seemed he was deliberately leaving Yu Shanshan hanging. In the end, Yu Shanshan couldn't hold back any longer. She was afraid. President Mo, I'm sure I've already made my stance clear. I hope Hai Rui can resolve this issue as soon as possible. Yu Shanshan opened her mouth and tried to shut Mo Ting up. Of course, Mo Ting had already completely forgotten about his identity as Yu Shanshan's classmate. His voice was extremely cold as he said, "You better be clear about who you are talking to." Yu Shanshan's heart began to race. "I heard you want Tongning and Hai Rui to apologize to your fans. Is that right?" Yes. Yu Shanshan began to stutter as her palms began to sweat. She didn't know why, facing Mo Ting especially at this moment. She couldn't help but feel afraid, because no one knew what he was thinking or what he wanted to do. Originally, I simply wanted to quietly replace you, but it's a pity you pushed Tongning out. You must have misunderstood my phone call today. I didn't call because I wanted to reconcile. Yu Shanshan, you should know that with me, there will never be a next time. From now on, when it comes to the entertainment industry, I will simply make you suffer. After speaking, Mo Ting directly hung up the phone. He had no intention of communicating with Yu Shanshan normally. This time, it was Yu Shanshan's turn to panic. What should she do? Compared to Jaking, Mo Ting was a lot scarier. Afterwards, Yu Shanshan gave Jaking a phone call. However, Jaking simply sneered. Yu Shanshan, if you dare to back down, you can forget about seeing your child ever again. Did you think we had a way out? Chapter 325. 10 p.m. Hai Rui's CEO's office was still brightly lit. Although it was Fang Yu's wedding, as soon as he heard that Hai Rui was in trouble, he returned to Beijing with Hu Jingjing as soon as the wedding ended. As expected, as soon as he arrived at Hai Rui, he realized Mo Ting had not returned home from work. Mo Ting lifted his head to look at Fang Yu. His voice remained deep. "Why did you come back?" Looking at Mo Ting's expression, he didn't seem the least bit anxious. So Fang Yu rubbed his forehead helplessly. "I thought the problem was a little tricky. But from the looks of it, you don't seem to be in a hurry. Since you have a solution, why don't you go home?" "Do I not look like I'm in a hurry?" Mo Ting asked. Through Mo Ting's eyes, Fang Yu finally understood. Mo Ting simply wanted to pretend to be anxious, so the board of directors could hold an emergency meeting. Opportunities like this to clean up the company didn't come by often. Since it was delivered to their doorstep, they had to make good use of it. "What's the plan?" "Give him a taste of his own medicine." Mo Ting answered Fang Yu's question with one simple sentence. So, the netizens assumed that Hai Rui would step out to apologize and take responsibility for the incident. But they never considered how Hai Rui would take responsibility for a fight between fans. The netizens also thought Tongning would step out to admit her mistake and try to ease the tense atmosphere. But in reality, this incident had nothing to do with Tongning. Since manager Mo did not say anything, there was no need for her to step out. After all, Tang fans had always been wronged. If she really stood up, she would be admitting that it was her fans' fault. So the PR news that Hai Rui released overnight only contained one sentence. He had already called the police, and the police would be involved in the investigation. They needed to figure out the cause and effect of the matter, whether it was good or evil, right or wrong, and would go through the legal process. As soon as the article was released, fans immediately protested. They felt the truth was already clear enough, and Hai Rui was simply trying to avoid responsibility. Meanwhile, some people felt that Hai Rui's actions weren't wrong. The Yu fans were indeed hurt, but the Tang fans weren't any better off either. The fight had always been the fault of both parties, so it was unfair to force the other party to apologize. So calling the police was the best solution. However, only those that were close to Mo Ting knew that he was trying to stall for time. Leave everything to the law. It was also the best public relations shield. Anyone who was concerned about this matter could shut their mouths with a sentence of handing over the case to the law. With this, Mo Ting was in complete control of the situation. Of course, Mo Ting had always been swift and decisive in his actions. But this time, he was unusually gentle. In the eyes of the higher-ups at Hai Rui, his PR was barely passable. It couldn't be considered beautiful. So the next day, over 30% of Hai Rui's shareholders requested for an interim board meeting. In reality, ever since Hai Rui was established, they had been through a lot worse than this. A small matter like this was not something the shareholders would hold accountable for. But, King had been stirring up trouble for a long time. On top of that, Mo Ting had been making too many exceptions for Tongning, so the shareholders couldn't help but suspect that Mo Ting had been blinded by lust and was affecting Hai Rui's operations. Before Mo Ting left the house, Tongning stood in front of the mirror helping him adjust his suit. Her eyes revealed a sense of unease. Mo Ting grabbed onto her right wrist and placed a kiss on it. "What are you feeling uneasy about?" "Today's board meeting." "You're worried about this?" Mo Ting let go of her hand and wrapped his arm around her waist. "Don't you think I'm enjoying the game of cat and mouse?" Tongning leaned into Mo Ting's embrace. Although she was well aware of his ability to strategize, worrying about something like this was an instinct. "You previously said that if I needed you, you would step forward. Is it still important to ask this now?" Tongning lifted her head and asked. "I've already made preparations." Mo Ting stretched out his hand and stroked Tongning's hair. Although he couldn't bear to do it, he still hardened his heart. "I will pave the way for you. Don't worry." The couple were well connected. So most of the time, Mo Ting didn't need to say much. As long as he did something, Tongning would understand. Everything Tongning did was to create an opportunity for Mo Ting to retaliate. "My fans are all doing charity work. In fact, They've even set up a charity website to collect donations. You've done a good job, Tongning smiled. She knew Mo Ting had already understood her intentions. So she did not say another word as she pulled away from Mo Ting's embrace. Let's go, the board meeting is about to start. When it came to being two-faced, the husband and wife had always been surprisingly consistent. They simply had to wait for a good show. 10 a.m. Hairue's meeting room. Before Mo Ting entered the meeting room, the old shareholders all expressed their dissatisfaction with the way the fans were handled. Hairue had been well known in the industry for many years, and had never been involved in PR like this. But, because it involved Tongning, Mo Ting's way of handling it could be said to be the most gentle in history. The fact that the almighty CEO became a model's personal manager was already a topic of discussion. Yet, for the sake of Tongning, he's even willing to disregard Hairue's reputation? One of the shareholders said. Haven't you guys noticed that Mo Ting has changed a lot lately? A second shareholder said as he slammed his hand on the table. If things continue like this, if Tongning asks for Hairue, will Mo Ting simply give it to her? What a vixen. I've compiled some information here. It's all evidence of Mo Ting using his position as CEO to help Tongning. The person that handed over the information was Jaking's so-called father, Director Tsung. Lu Che had previously given him a phone call, but he had rejected Lu Che with the excuse that he wasn't in the country. In reality, he had rejected Mo Ting. The group of shareholders received the information. After looking through it, they were all shocked. What will happen if things continue like this? If things continue like this, Hairue will be finished sooner or later. What's finished? Mo Ting's deep voice suddenly resounded from the doorway of the meeting room. A moment later, the group of shareholders put away the information with ugly expressions on their faces, and turned their faces away. Mo Ting sneered as he sat down in the CEO's seat. However, his gaze fell on the information in the hands of the shareholders. Let me have a look. One of the shareholders was a little surprised, but he still handed the information over. Mo Ting flipped through the information casually and threw it aside. What? Are you trying to use this as an excuse to hold me accountable? Mo Ting, don't you think you should explain things to everyone? What do I need to explain? Mo Ting asked. He then placed his sharp gaze on Director Tsung and continued. If you want me to give you a reasonable explanation, that's fine. But, before that, I would like to ask Director Tsung's son Jaking, what is he planning? As for Director Tsung, they would take a detour to avoid being used by people with ulterior motives. Soon, the board of directors began to leave. Meanwhile, Director Tsung left his seat with a conflicted look on his face. Although he tried his best to control himself, he couldn't escape Mo Ting's eyes. Being singled out by Mo Ting was equivalent to being targeted by the entire board of directors. If he became a mole, then at the next board meeting, he didn't even dare to think about it. President. It looks like the ones who are truly disloyal are the overconfident father and son pair. They actually want to use this kind of information to hold you accountable. Send someone to keep an eye on him and collect evidence at any time. Mo Ting instructed. Everything else, proceed as planned. The only reason Yu Shanshan's fans were able to cause trouble was because they were the victims. They were the weaker party. But, what if their positions were to change? Hello everyone, welcome to the morning news. Let us first focus on an important incident that has just happened at Hairue Entertainment. According to a report from our reporter, the car that Hairue's famous model, Tongning, was riding on was suspected to have been tampered with. The brakes were cut off. Because it was discovered in time and the culprit was inexperienced, there were no casualties. Afterwards, our reporter contacted the person in charge at Hairue, but did not receive a response. So, Hairue decided to report this to the police. Tongning's car was tampered with by a Yu fan. The anti-fan left a letter on the car, claiming that he hated comparing Tongning to his idol, Yu Shanshan. Fan fight escalates once again. Yu fan goes berserk and almost causes Tongning to lose her life. Yu fan versus Tang fan. One intentionally caused harm, the other focused on charity. Entertainment announcements flooded in. The people that were originally speaking up for Yu Shanshan suddenly lost their confidence. They had previously scolded Yu Shanshan's fans for being violent, stupid and extreme, but they never expected Yu Shanshan's fans to slap them in the face so quickly. How dare they tamper with someone's car? On the other hand, in order not to aggravate the conflict, Tongning's fans quietly organized donations and were passionate about charity activities. They chose to use gentle methods to appease the anger of passers-by and change their opinions. Comparing the two methods, Tongning's fans could not find any flaws. To think I previously thought Tongning's fans went overboard. Who would have thought Yu Shanshan's fans would tamper with someone's car? Aren't they trying to kill her? I think scolding her is enough. Tampering with her car is too much. Yu Shanshan, please lead your fans to explode. I've always felt that Tongning's fans shouldn't do something like Haven because the fans of models tend to be more mature. On the other hand, there are a lot of younger fans that watch television. Especially during puberty, it's easy for them to be led astray. Great, the victim has now become the perpetrator. My face is swollen. Forget it, the waters of the internet are too deep. I'm not going to play anymore. I'm going offline. I'm simply praising Tongning's EQ. As for everything else, Yu Shanshan, how shameless can you be? Many people in the media felt that Hai Rui did not handle their PR well this time. A normal agency could only allow Tongning to be slandered and wait for the incident to pass. It turned out Hai Rui could deal with it this way. If Yu Shanshan used Tongning's fake fans, couldn't Hai Rui return the favor and use Yu Shanshan's fake fans? The original victim had now become the perpetrator. In fact, the moment they stepped forward, they wanted to take someone's life. They wanted to see who was more violent and terrifying. Jaking originally thought he was going to make Mo Ting suffer. But who would have thought? The reason Mo Ting was able to become a king was because of his countless methods, from the light to the dark. The method he used really depended on the person he was facing. Since someone wanted to slander Tongning, he wasn't going to hold back. As promised, he was going to give them a taste of their own medicine. In the end, Director Tsung decided not to tell his son. He knew better than Jaking that Mo Ting's undefeatable position was not something a woman could control. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.